All right, guys, welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. I couldn't decide on red or blue, so I could smushed them together and made this. This is what you're gonna get on the last regular show before we do a Independence Day holiday. But what you are gonna get is a very nice opening, an homage to the actual birth date of this country, which, by the way, is today, July 2nd, 1776. We will talk about it in a moment. Other things we'll talk about today. Andrew Kolvet is a lying liar who lies. Oh, should I dial it back? It's early. Sorry, guys. We will show evidence that has never been seen from Mr. Kolvet lying and being okay with it. How about that? Is that better? We'll dial it back a little bit. Since it's early, it's only 4:31 God's time, and we're already getting a little heated. Sorry, it won't happen again. And then we're going to take a look at some FBI plane movement. It's a little interesting, and ask a few questions about who really was, where, when, and why. Because one of the things we'll talk about with Andrew Kolvet lying is we've gotten a little information that he might not have all been where he said he was on September 10th. Maybe he wasn't in Santa Barbara at all. At least that's what he seems to suggest in a clip that we will play tonight. So there's a lot on the table. A whole lot on the table. A little buffet. What do they call that? A smorgasbord. A little something for everybody. We got crooks and liars and people sneaking in and out of town and evidence of what was going on behind the scenes. Big show lined up for you. So welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. I hope you will look around the room. Look to your left, look to your right. You're around greatness. You're around a high IQ crew. A very, very high IQ jury. Gosh, there was something else I was going to. Oh, tomorrow, mañana, the member show will be Cassia from Daily Fredo. She will be with us. We're going to try to aim, I told her, for 1 p.m. God's time. That's Central Daylight Time. 1 p.m. tomorrow, God's time. I know she's very busy, and she's on a very late time zone compared to where we are, so we will try not to go too terribly long. But I'm really looking forward to this. She's one of the up-and-coming stars on YouTube. She's really just growing out of control. And I want to hear about it before I can no longer get her book because she's too famous. So I will have her tomorrow for the member show. If you are a member, you can tune in. If you're not a member, now's a good time to go ahead and take advantage of that. You might get lucky, though. You might have somebody just drop a membership on your head, because if you gift a membership while we're in a live stream, it will fall into someone's account who is on the live stream. And all they have to do is accept it, and they are a new member. So Cassia from Daily Fredo tomorrow. Last regular member show before the weekend, and then we'll be back Sunday night for the regular member show. Okay, let me get into the open here, because it's a lot of fun. I really like this topic. There are a few of us out there, John Adams diehards. Just a few of us. Not a lot of John Adams diehards out there, but there are a few of us. And we, John Adams diehards, celebrate Independence Day on July 2nd. We don't celebrate on 4th of July with everybody else. I kid. We understand. Just dial it back. You'll see what I'm talking about. Are you ready, ladies and gentlemen? Yes, I believe we're gathered here, so let's get going. This is your opening statement. We gather this afternoon just 2 days before the official Independence Day holiday. It's often called the 4th of July, or often just the 4th. Many of us get the day off of work. We gather with family or friends. We wear red, white, and blue, or in my case today, you can't decide which to wear, so you smush them together and wear purple. We eat too much food, and if we're lucky, we can take in a fireworks display. This tradition has gone on for generations. This year's celebration strikes a particularly emotional chord, if for no other reason than the anniversary is round, meaning it ends in a 0. This year marks 250 years of American independence, a quarter of a millennium. But at least one founder would be shocked we're celebrating on Saturday the 4th and not today, Thursday, July 2nd. On the evening of July 3rd, 1776, in a boarding house in Philadelphia, future president of the United States, John Adams, sat down to write what remains one of the most passionate letters in American history. He was addressing his wife, Abigail, back in Massachusetts, and he reflected on what he sensed was the world-changing historical events of the previous day. The Second Continental Congress had just taken the irrevocable step of declaring the 13 original American colonies free and independent states. John Adams was ecstatic, and he believed history would forever mark July 2nd, 1776, as the true founding moment of the United States. For example, in his letter, he wrote the following, quote, "The second day of July, 1776, will be the most memorable epocha in the history of America. I'm apt to believe that it will be celebrated by succeeding generations as the great anniversary festival. It ought to be commemorated as the day of deliverance by solemn acts of devotion to God Almighty. It ought to be solemnized with pomp and parade, with shows, games, sports, guns, bells, bonfires, and illuminations from one end of this continent to another, from this time forward, forevermore. You will think me transported with enthusiasm, but I am not. I'm well aware of the toil and blood and treasure that it will cost us to maintain this declaration and support and defend these states. Yet through all the gloom, I can see the rays of ravishing light and glory. I can see that the end is more than worth all the means, and that posterity will triumph in that day's transaction, even although we should rue it, which I trust in God we shall not." End quote. Well, Adams clearly got the spirit of the celebration right, but he was off by 2 days on the date. The document we now call the Declaration of Independence was formally adopted on July 4th. That is the day that became enshrined as Independence Day. Yet the actual legal and political break with England occurred on July 2nd. That's when Congress voted to approve Richard Henry Lee's resolution declaring independence. John Adams' letter captures both the triumph and the sober realism of that pivotal moment. And to understand why he placed so much weight on July 2nd and why that date deserves remembrance alongside its more famous cousin, July 4th, you have to at least have some knowledge and understanding of the key figures, the body itself in which the decision was made, the vote, and the profound consequences of the vote. John Adams, for his part, has been called the Atlas of Independence. He was a Massachusetts lawyer, a farmer, and a giant intellectual. His fierce commitment to liberty and Republican government made him one of the most influential architects of American independence. He was born in a little town called Braintree, Massachusetts. It's since been renamed Quincy, obviously. He graduated from Harvard and built a successful legal practice. He gained prominence in the 1760s and early 1770s by opposing British policies through things like essays and legal arguments. His Navanglis essays in 1774 and 1775 set forth an incredibly strong case that Parliament, English Parliament, had no authority at all to legislate for the colonies without their consent. He was elected as a delegate to the First Continental Congress in 1774 and quickly emerged as a leader of the more radical faction alongside his cousin, Samuel Adams. Not the guy the company's, well, I guess kind of the guy the company's named after. John Adams was skeptical of reconciliation. He pushed for stronger measures against Britain. When the Second Continental Congress convened in May of 1775, following the battles of Lexington and Concord, Adams became even more central. John Adams himself was the one who nominated George Washington of Virginia to command the Continental Army. This turned out to be shrewd. It was a shrewd political move because it helped bind these southern colonies to the New England cause. He served on dozens of committees, some reports suggest as many as 100, and chaired about 25 of them, including the Board of War and Ordnance. That board oversaw military affairs. John Adams was he also authored Thoughts on Government in 1776. Thoughts on Government was a pamphlet. Pamphlets were big back then. This pamphlet influenced the drafting of the many state constitutions because it emphasized the balanced republican institution and the separation of powers. By mid-1776, John Adams was widely regarded as the leading advocate for independence in the Second Continental Congress. He sat on a 5-member committee alongside founding fathers Thomas Jefferson and Benjamin Franklin that was tasked with drafting a formal declaration explaining the colony's decision to separate from England. Although Jefferson did most of the writing, John Adams played a key role in shaping the document and defending it during debate. John Adams pushed the declaration to extend beyond merely separating from England. He actually sought a new nation grounded in republican principles, things like self-government and the rule of law. In this context, it becomes clear that John Adams' July 3rd letter to his wife Abigail illuminates a man of deep principle, ambition, and foresight. He was acutely aware of the sacrifices American independence would require. The man who submitted the resolution, to declare the American colonies independent states was a guy named Richard Henry Lee. Richard Henry Lee was not from Massachusetts. He wasn't one of those people at all up that way. He was from Virginia. He was a planter, an orator, and a statesman from one of the colony's most prominent families. Richard Henry Lee was educated in England, but he returned to Virginia to manage his family's estates. He ended up entering politics, serving in the Virginia House of Burgesses. Like John Adams, Lee opposed British taxation and overreach, and he helped organize intercolonial committees of correspondence and was also elected to the First and Second Continental Congresses. That's where he got to know John Adams well. On June 7th, 1776, Richard Henry Lee rose in Congress and introduced what became known as the Lee Resolution. This was the resolution for independence. On behalf of the Virginia delegation and following instructions from the Virginia Convention, he moved as follows, and I quote, "That these united colonies are, and of right ought to be, free and independent states, that they are absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown, and that all political connection between them and the great state of Great Britain is and ought to be totally dissolved." End quote. Lee also proposed 2 companion resolutions. The first one authorized the pursuit of foreign alliances. They knew they couldn't do it alone. The second called for a plan of confederation among the soon-to-be independent states. They knew they couldn't compete with each other. His oratory was legendary. Contemporaries compared him to Cicero for his eloquence and classical style. Richard Henry Lee was a radical voice in Virginia politics. He aligned himself with Patrick Henry and pushed against more cautious figures who urged a slower approach. Though he returned to Virginia before the final vote on the Declaration and did not sign the Declaration of Independence on July 4th, well, he actually signed it later, not on July 4th. Lee went on to serve as the president of the Continental Congress. He signed the Articles of Confederation and later represented Virginia in the United States Senate. And there, he fiercely advocated for a Bill of Rights to be added to the Constitution. Lee's resolution was the formal trigger for independence. It transformed vague talk of rights and grievances into a concrete political act, a movement. The colonies were no longer petitioning for reform. They were outright declaring themselves sovereign states. So the Second Continental Congress, meeting in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania's State House, that's now Independence Hall, if you're trying to figure out on a map where it is. It functioned as the de facto national government from 1775 onward. It was composed of delegates chosen by colonial assemblies or conventions. It coordinated the war effort. It managed diplomacy. It made decisions affecting all of the 13 colonies. But it had no formal constitution and it had no taxing power. The Continental Congress exercised authority through consensus and the legitimacy granted by the Revolutionary Crisis. By spring of 1776, there was a strong momentum building for independence, though it still represented a minority of the people. Thomas Paine's common sense had begun to galvanize public opinion. News of England's military actions and England hiring Hessian mercenaries started turning many more Americans in favor of independence. And we like to think of American independence as something akin to inevitable, or at the very least universally desired, but that's hardly the truth. The reality is a lot of the delegates still were waiting on instructions from their home governments, and a lot of them still hoped for reconciliation with England. So this was the backdrop when Richard Henry Lee introduced his resolution on June 7th. The Congress debated it intensely. Conservatives like John Dickinson of Pennsylvania argued for delay. He and others feared the colonies were unprepared for a full separation from England and probably a foreign invasion because they didn't have any alliances in place. But the radicals, those led by Adams and those who supported delegates from New England and Virginia, they insisted the time had come. No more talk, more action. To allow more colonies to receive instructions and to seek greater unanimity, Congress postponed the final vote, but appointed the committee to draft the Declaration of Independence in the meantime. So they took a preliminary vote on July 1st, and it was not going to pass. So they delayed it. There was strong support, but it was not unanimous, and it was in danger of not passing. So they put it off a day to July 2nd, 1776. And on July 2nd, after even more persuasion and after some pretty dramatic developments, Congress took that final vote of independence on that portion of Lee's resolution, and it passed. The changes overnight were crucial. For example, South Carolina had opposed independence on July 1st. But a guy named Edward Rutledge persuaded them to support independence on July 2nd. They flipped their vote. In Pennsylvania, 2 moderate delegates absented themselves, which allowed the other remaining delegate to be the final vote, and he voted yes. Delaware had only 2 of their 3 delegates present, and those 2 delegates were split, one in favor of independence and one against. The third delegate was a guy named Caesar Rodney. He was a strong supporter of independence, but he was absent because he was miserable, frankly. He was suffering from facial cancer. But he received word of the split in the Delaware delegation. He mounted a horse and rode 80 miles overnight through a thunderstorm from Dover, Delaware to Philadelphia. He arrived in the morning exhausted. He was muddy. He was still in his riding boots. He still donned his spurs. And it's in that condition, filthy and in miserable pain from facial cancer, that Rodney cast the deciding vote, and it made Delaware's delegation 2-1 in favor of independence. New York's delegates abstained from the vote because they didn't have explicit instructions from their home state. And when the final tally was taken, 12 colonies voted in favor of independence. Only New York abstained. There were no votes against. Just the day before, the vote was at risk of failing. But the vote on July 2nd was effectively unanimous. The vote meant that the United States colonies were then, or the United Colonies, were then on July 2nd, 1776, 250 years ago today, in law and in fact, free and independent states. On July 2nd, 1776, political allegiance to the British crown had been dissolved. Congress immediately turned to draft the Declaration that had been prepared by Jefferson's committee. And after making really only a few minor edits, the Congress adopted the Declaration of Independence on that famous date, July 4th, 1776. The engrossed parchment was signed by most of the delegates by August 2nd. So the July 2nd decision had immediate and far-reaching consequences. It transformed the nature of the conflict from this rebellion that was seeking regress and grievances, and it turned it into a war for national independence. The colonies could now legitimately seek foreign recognition, and with that, foreign alliances. And they could also get foreign aid, something that was prohibited before. These came mostly from France, but they proved decisive in the war's outcome. Domestically, back at home, the July 2nd vote boosted morale among the people in favor of independence. And the civilians turned patriots, I guess we could say, had their stakes clarified. The loyalists and the neutrals at least knew the battleground, at least knew the rationale for what was happening. The formal declaration adopted on July 4th served as the explanatory document. It's the why behind the what that had been decided on July 2nd. It listed a number of items. It had grievances against King George III. It articulated these Enlightenment principles of natural rights by government and consent. And it proclaimed the birth of a new nation. And while the vote created the legal reality of independence, the declaration gave it the philosophical boost that resonated around the world. The decision itself set in motion the process of forming a confederation. It encouraged individual colonies to establish new state governments based on these new Republican principles. This was exactly the kind of work John Adams had advocated for in Thoughts on Government. In the long term, July 2nd marked the irreversible point of no return. There was no turning back. We could never go back to colonial status under the crown. We'd never be trusted again. And so the sacrifices that Adams foresaw in his July 3rd letter to his wife, the toil and blood and treasure, those turned out to be nearly inconceivable. There were years of war, decades, really. Economic hardship, people lost everything. There was the loss of thousands and thousands of lives in a relatively sparsely populated colonial America. The rays of ravishing light and glory he envisioned in that letter actually did materialize. The United States emerged as an independent republic. It endures to this day, and it's inspired democratic movements around the world. John Adams correctly predicted that future generations would celebrate. And they would celebrate with parades and fireworks and solemn remembrance. He was really only wrong about the actual calendar date of the celebrations, because the Declaration was the eloquent public statement of independence, and it was dated July 4th. That is the date that people became enamored with. The engrossed document itself carries the July 4th date right at the top. So over time, July 2nd has faded from popular consciousness. It's really only nerdy historians and the rare John Adams enthusiasts who continue to note its primacy. Adams himself never wavered in his view. In later years, he continued to emphasize the significance of July 2nd and the resolution's passage. So while July 4th gets all the glory, the story of July 2nd highlights this collaborative, even at times contentious, nature of America's founding. John Adams, he supplied relentless advocacy and intellectual firepower from all the way up in Massachusetts. Richard Henry Lee, he provided the formality and the legal process from down in Virginia. And the two worked together to bridge regional interests. Figures like Caesar Rodney, well, they demonstrated the personal heroism in service of this common cause. The Second Continental Congress, through debate, compromise, and finally decisive action, forged a nation out of 13 disparate colonies. John Adams' letter to Abigail remains a timeless expression of revolutionary hope tempered by little bouts of realism. It reminds us that the independence was not merely a document or a holiday, but a profound political act undertaken at great risk. And that is a very historical opening statement. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I have. Now, is that story all fine, well, and good? We have no problems today because don't get so carried away. And one of the reasons I want to take you back to July 2nd, we'll get into the rest of this in a minute. One of the reasons I wanted to take you back all the way to July 2nd is because when you stop and we romanticize the founding of the country and we act like it was 100% people all pulling in the same direction. There was no dissent. We were willing to go to war. Hey, it was a minority position at the time. I think something like 35, maybe 40% of people wanted independence. The rest of the people were like, what are you doing? We've got a pretty good life. Leave us alone. I mean, what's the T-tax? $0.015? Come on, back up. Dial it back. Why are you guys so, why are you so bent out of shape? Hey. Now, when you cut your tax check on April 15th, you're going to look back at that T-tax and say, maybe they had it right. Maybe it wasn't too bad after all. No, I'm just kidding. We're doing great. So God bless America. Yes, we have problems. We have warts. We have all kinds of these issues, but I get this question sometimes, not a lot, but I get it sometimes. People say, if you had to leave the United States and go somewhere else, where would you go? Nowhere. There's nowhere else I'd rather be. And I know a third of you guys roughly tune in from around the world, but there's nowhere else I'd rather be. I love it here in the United States. We have problems. But man, it's a pretty good country. It's a pretty good country. Do I affirm and ratify everything our government does? No, of course not. There's lots of government does that I don't like. But when you walk down the street and you talk to the people, even first, second, third generation Americans, even newbies, people are glad to be here. They're happy to be part of it. It's not quite the make your own life or die that it was back then. But it's still pretty nice. And I can't think anywhere else in the world I'd rather be. I'm sure there's some nice places out there. But as for me and my house, we're going to celebrate on July 4th. All right, I want to get into, now that we've gotten this out of the way, let's get into the scumbags. I got to get into the scumbags. You guys are never going to believe this. We have tonight, you're going to see it. We came across something pretty weird that indicated Andrew Kolvet might not have all have been where he claimed to have been on September 10th, the day Charlie Kirk went down. And if Andrew wasn't just an incessant liar, if he wasn't fine with lying, if he was a decent human being, I might look past something like this. But I don't think he is. I think he's a horrible human being. So let me show you first where we got this, because we could give credit to everybody who finds stuff. This was a relatively small find. It's only got about 7,000 or 8,000 views on X, but it's from someone named Charlotte Lee. Charlotte Lee goes by Charlie's Angels 47. She put this up here, and it was an interesting find. We cleaned it up a little bit because we on this program do not like when people mess with videos. We'd much rather look at the original source documents. And so that's what we did. We went and found the original source that this was from. And I will play it for you in just a moment, because this is pretty fascinating, frankly. It's a quick clip. It may get past you if you don't know what you're listening for.
Andrew Kolvet is with us. You were here a week ago. We're a week away, and same time?
Yeah, we're probably about 2 hours or so out from, the exact time of.
Did you hear what Glenn said? You were here a week ago? You were here a week ago. Well, they're sitting in the Phoenix studio off Beverly Road on the southern part of Phoenix. Well, why would Andrew have been there? The official story is Andrew was not at all there. The official story is Andrew was in Santa Barbara. So I look at that and I think, well, I could be tempted to look past it. He didn't. Maybe just being polite. I try to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. I try to look at all the different angles. Maybe he's just being polite. Maybe he looks and says, well, Glenn, it's a somber moment. I didn't want to say, no, you big dummy. I wasn't here at all. I was in Santa Barbara. No, didn't want to go that. But we started looking and thinking, could he have been there? Is it possible Andrew actually was in Phoenix when Charlie went down? Well, maybe, if you guys remember, we have charted 2 potential flights that Andrew could have been on. Is there a third? I don't know. This was the Big Bang, 12:23 p.m. This was a flight that left Santa Barbara and went to Scottsdale. It's important, and it caught our eyes because this flight had left Provo to go to Santa Barbara. It had taken someone from Scottsdale, this orange flight here. It had taken someone from Scottsdale to Provo, where the event was, or just south of where the event was, on September 10th. I believe it took the Y Refi guy, but I don't want to be quoted on that. But it left Provo for some unknown reason and went to Scottsdale. It went to Santa Barbara, excuse me. It left Provo for some unknown reason and went to Santa Barbara. It was only on the ground in Santa Barbara for a very short period of time, like less than 20 minutes. And then it leaves Santa Barbara and goes to Scottsdale. Why did it go to Santa Barbara? What was in Santa Barbara? And why did it go to Scottsdale? What's in Scottsdale? The only thing that we know that's in Santa Barbara is Andrew Kolvet. The only thing we know that's in Scottsdale is that's where the TPUSA planes have been flying in and out of. It's right next to where Charlie lived. So very confusing as I looked at this. We initially thought, well, that would make more sense that Andrew was on this purple flight, but then we start looking at the timelines and we wonder, why did this plane go to Santa Barbara? Is it possible he was on this plane and maybe his wife came in? Andrew's wife came in on this purple flight because he did say she came in. Now, Andrew, for his, to give him his story, he claims to have been on this purple flight. That flight took off at 3:12 p.m. and it did not land until 4:38 p.m., all times here in Utah time. If he was on this purple flight, he would have never seen Erika Kirk anywhere but the hospital. So the problem with that is he claimed, at least as Candace Owens tells the story, he claimed that he fell into Erika Kirk's arms on the airport tarmac. Well, if he's on this purple flight, there is no Erika arm falling. There is no tarmac meeting, because by the time this flight landed, Erika Kirk had long been gone, at least an hour been gone from the airport in Provo. So we looked at this and thought, well, if he did fall into Erika's arms, then he could not have been on this purple flight. So he would have had to be on this orange flight. Well, what are the consequences of Andrew being on the orange flight? Notice the time here. 12:23 p.m. is the Big Bang. The flight leaves at 12:33 p.m. Meaning Andrew would have been at the airport or very, very near the airport when the Big Bang went off, when Charlie went down in Orem, Utah. And the only reason he said he flew out that day, he was not planning to leave Santa Barbara that day. That's his story. The only reason he left is because Charlie got shot. So if he was on this orange flight, the consequence is that Andrew Kolvet knew Charlie was going to get shot. Period. End of story. I can find no other explanation. No other explanation whatsoever for why he would be on that flight. Now, when we raised that issue the first time, we were given an explanation, not by Andrew, not at all by Andrew. We were given an explanation by someone named House Inhabit. Believe it or not, some troll name on X. Some troll name on X gets a hold of Andrew's itinerary. Alleged itinerary. This is it. House Inhabit. Can you imagine responding to people through a Twitter profile called House Inhabit? Candace devoted a whole show to an imagined tarmac hug. Again, I'm giving Candace the benefit of the doubt that the imagined tarmac hug actually was relayed to her by Andrew. Why would she make that up? That's a weird thing to make up. Because she says to indicate some kind of scheming romantic plot. I don't think Candace ever indicated a scheming romantic plot. I don't want to betray private conversations, but I've asked her point blank if she thought there could have been anything between them. She said absolutely not. She didn't think so. And I really don't either. I don't know. That doesn't seem right to me. I think the tarmac hug was, in my opinion, told to Candace as a way to say we were all heartbroken. I was shocked. Erika was shocked. We commiserated on the tarmac. I think what he wasn't thinking at the time was he wasn't supposed to be on the same tarmac as Erika Kirk. The timing didn't add up, and it created a problem. And so you have this situation where You go back to those planes we just showed, and the only way they could have had a tarmac hug is if Andrew was on that first plane, and the only way Andrew could have been on this first plane is if he'd known Charlie was going to die. And so they leak out this document. This is a supposed passenger itinerary from Paradise Jets. This is the preferred charter for TPUSA. And this supposedly had Andrew Kolvet and his wife, Caitlin Shea Kolvet. Now, this was put online by House and Habit. We don't know how she got a hold of it. And if Andrew gave it to her, we don't know why Andrew didn't just release it. I have a theory on that in a second. I'll give it to you. Just let me go through this real quick, and then I'll give you my theory. Hold me to that if I forget. But we started looking at this and noticed that, for example, down here on the map, this map data said 2026 Google. Well, this is supposedly from 2025. So why would the map say 2026? That's weird. And then we started looking, and Daisy checked in, and this is not something that is proper. This is not something that can happen. You can't fly these planes from Paradise Charters. Like, you have to have a certain type of license, and neither of these organizations have one that would allow you to use other planes and create an itinerary from other planes. So it was a really weird thing altogether. We concluded that this is probably made up, probably pasted together, supposedly looking like it was an actual itinerary, but is not. I don't know if that's true or not. That's just kind of the conclusion we came to, putting it all together. What did I say I was going to come back to? I can't remember. Oh, why would you leak this through House and Habit and not just release it yourself? This is not the first time they've done this, by the way. You remember Erika's alibi photo when she was alleged to be at Fort Huachuca, and they wanted to say, no, she wasn't at Fort Huachuca. She was with her kids. For example, here's a picture of her with her kids, and they put up the alibi photo, but they didn't leak it directly themselves. They gave it to Gary over at Paramount and Practical. And Paramount and Practical put it up on the screen and said, these are her kids. This is who she was with. And it turns out they weren't her kids. One of them they've admitted is not her kid, the boy. We are challenging whether the girl is her kid. I don't believe that's her kid either. But even so, it was the wrong date, and it didn't have her in it, and it, just the whole thing's nonsensical. But why not put it out yourself? Why are we leaking private documents and private photos through an online personality known as House and Habit and Gary Paramount Impractical? Why would we leak it out that way? I'll tell you exactly why. I'll tell you why I surmise. If you ever end up in trial, if you ever end up in court, in a deposition, or on the witness stand, you can be impeached with out-of-court statements. Now, you can't introduce those out-of-court statements for the truth of the matter asserted. That's hearsay and that's barred, generally speaking. But they would be available for impeachment purposes. In other words, here you were on the record lying. You're a lying liar who lies, and the jury deserves to know that. But if you didn't make the statement, can't be impeached with it, can you? Like, we can't ask Andrew what flight you were on, catch him lying about it, and then say, you lied about that, didn't you? That makes you look guilty. Well, we can't do that because he didn't lie about it. He put it out through House and Habit. Why? Well, that's my guess. That's the only thing I can come up with, so that you can't hold it against him. Same thing with the photograph. Well, if it turns out she wasn't there and she ends up in court one day, you cannot then say, well, you lied. No, because it went through Andrew and it went through Gary. And now we get a situation where it's nearly impossible to hold it against any particular person who might be under oath. I truly believe that's what we're dealing with. That is a level of psychopathy that many people struggle to comprehend. That's a real problem that many people struggle to comprehend. Going back to this for just a second, going back to this itinerary, just an example of something that was done here. This is the actual plane here on top. This is a photo of the actual plane. that this photo was taken from. Notice they've blued out the tail number. Why? Because it's the wrong tail number. This tail number here is N937 Romeo Alpha. Well, you can't have that and then have supposedly flying on 872 Romeo Alpha. And so they just scratched it out. That's a weird thing to do. I don't know if that's the kind of thing that people do. I mean, we had a whole show on debunking this itinerary. I just think it's fake. I mean, it's just my opinion. I think it's fake. But the question is, do we have any independent evidence, anything that's not yet public? Because we can find all these instances of close calls and all this, but do we have any non-public information of Andrew just being a flat-out liar and laughing about it and being fine with it? Yeah, we do. I'm going to show it to you here in just a second. I think most of this audience is high IQ enough that we're probably honest people. And because we're high IQ, honest people, this is going to be a little shocking. So I hope you're seated. Hope you're not driving anywhere. If you are, don't take your eyes off the screen, off the road. Excuse me. Take your eyes off the screen. Look back at the road. But I want to show you a text message that we got our hands on between Andrew Kolvet and Marina Minas. Marina Minas is the chief marketing officer, I believe is her title, at TPUSA. Andrew Kolvet, lying scumbag. Oh, excuse me. He is the PR guy. Excuse me, I misspoke there. I apologize. I want to show you this because it gets right to the heart of how dishonest they are about everything going on at TPUSA. Andrew Kolvet, October 15, 2025. Be careful on the student network numbers, the 800,000 one. Now, here's what he's talking about. After Charlie died, TPUSA started going around bragging about how many new students were signing up under TPUSA chapters around the country. And there were all these crazy numbers that came rolling in. I mean, hundreds of thousands of new signups. So Andrew Kolvet is telling them, hey, we're stuck with this number 800. Be careful at it. He said, I answered it incorrectly at first, but now it's out there that we went from 450,000 or 500,000 to 800,000. What do you mean you answered it incorrectly at first? So Marina Mina says, what's the correct number? He says 150. But I said 350, so just go with it. LOL. Fox made a graphic. We're stuck. LOL. So the real number was we added 150,000 new students to our network in the 6 weeks or so, 5 weeks or so after Charlie died. But you lied and you inflated the number from 150 to 350 or mistakenly said it, whatever. And you're laughing about it. It was really 150. You said 350. So just go with it. LOL. This is a deeply dishonest organization led by deeply dishonest people, in my humble opinion, based on the evidence I have in front of me, based on the public and now private information that I have. This is not the type of organization Charlie would have wanted. It's just not. And I'm not sure why they think all this is so funny. We want to know where that number came from, why it happened. Well, here is a brief segment from Fox News where the number came from and the Fox graphic they're talking about here. See this? New student registrations up 350,000. That number should say 150, but Andrew told them 350 for some unknown reason.
Student network is already at over 800,000 students across the country and growing every single day. So we thank God for that, and we're going to keep moving.
But now we know that's not true. The network is not at 800,000 every day and growing. It's at 600,000. And he just flat out lied about it right there.
Student network is already at over 800,000 students across the country and growing every single day. So we thank God for that, and we're going to keep moving.
So what are the consequences for lying about something like that. If you tell people, and you're raising money, and you're telling donors, and you're on Fox News, and you're broadcasting that, we got 800,000 students in our network, but you really only have 600,000. You've inflated it by a third. And then you tell people, we've added 350,000 new students, but you've really only added 150,000. So you've inflated it by 233%. If you did that in corporate America, if you went on CNBC and you talked about the number of customers you have and then your stock price started to rise because of it, you would go to prison. That would be actionable. That is so dishonest. It is so wrong that you would have consequences. The SEC could open up a probe. The FBI could open up a probe. You would have trading violations. You'd have all kinds of problems. But because it's just a nonprofit, you get to look like this on Fox News with a smirk on your face while you're lying to the entire world. You can tell the truth behind the scenes. And I guess we're not supposed to do anything about it? Like, do your donors know that number was a lie? Do the individuals who were donating know that number was a lie? Because I keep getting asked, like, is there a way we can sue these people? Yeah, I think this is it. I think this right here opens them up to a lawsuit. Just like lying about a private publicly traded, a for-profit publicly traded company on national television about the number of customers you have, the number of active people you have, whatever it is, just the same, that would be a lie. And you could be sued for that. You could have a derivative shareholders lawsuit. You could have direct shareholders lawsuit. You could have a criminal complaint. Here is a graphic they made that was displayed on Fox News. 350,000 new student registrations. That's not true. That's just not true. It was 150. He admitted it in the text message. This is what's become of TPUSA. You wonder why people are taking this personally? You wonder why people don't believe anything you guys say? This is why. This is particularly why. This is exactly why. This was happening while Charlie was at TPUSA, and he didn't tolerate it. I'll show you an example.
He works with. Yeah. I have a story like this too, and I'm ashamed that I am the villain in this story. Basically, it was 2 weeks before he died, and I'll never forget it. There was just some annoyance that was, in our way, and we needed to deal with something. I can't even remember what it was, and I just remember going, hey, we could just tell them XYZ. In translation, we could just, little white lie and it'll go away. They'll understand. And I remember seeing the dots he was typing right away. Right away. We don't lie. It was a private message with me.
I love that.
And it wasn't, you don't lie. It's not, I don't lie. It was, Andrew, we here on the show in this turning point, we don't lie.
Well, and not only don't lie, I mean, without even getting into it, but like if you run a huge nonprofit, and DC is all about huge nonprofits, I know everyone who runs them, boy, there are temptations, and there was never any of that here.
Well, there is now. Turning Point 1.0 with Charlie Kirk, maybe they didn't lie. Maybe Andrew wanted to lie, is obviously he's inclined to lie. He's a liar. He's an admitted liar. He admits that his instinct is to lie when it's convenient. But Turning Point 1.0, while Charlie was still alive, he was kind of the backdrop. We don't lie. Well, Turning Point 2.0, Charlie's not there to say we don't lie. Now we laugh about it on text messages behind the scenes. Now we look at text messages like this, and we wonder, what if Charlie had been copied on this text message? Be careful on the student network numbers. I answered it incorrectly at first, but now it's out there that we went from 450 or 500 to 800. In other words, we increased by 350. What's the correct number? 150. But I said 350, so just go with it, LOL. I don't think that's funny. Like, that's not an LOL moment for me. That's not an LOL moment for me. That's not a moment where I go, you know how it is. Those crazy numbers, they don't really mean, no, they mean a lot. They mean a lot. How hard would it have been to just say, hey, Fox, I misspoke. It was 150. Or just in the thing, say, hey, I saw your graphic there that it said we went up 350. We actually only went up 150. I've gone back and double checked that number. The original number was incorrect. No, you didn't. You just lied. And then instead of correcting the record, then you go instruct other people at the organization to lie. And none of them pushed back that I could tell. No one was like, oh my gosh, this is horrible. We're stuck with a number that's not true. Whatever are we going to do? Instead, it was like, all right, we're good. That's the new number. Roger that. No, that's not, I don't want to roger that. I don't want to roger that. We should be out correcting that. I think that's just an idea of who these people are. An idea of who these people are. I want to switch gears. I want to go back in time because we made a quick mention of this the other day, and I think it bears it's worth a few moments to go through the mechanics of it. It's worth a few moments to go through the mechanics of it. I want to take you back to September 8th. September 8th, 2 days before Charlie Kirk passed away. We know there were a couple of things going on September 8th. One is there was a flight into Fort Huachuca that was on plane 99-04-04. And it went from Washington, D.C., Joint Base Andrews, to Colorado Springs, from Colorado Springs to Tucson, Arizona, and then from Tucson to Fort Huachuca. That entire trip, it was what's known as a reach flight. RCH is how the call sign began, reach. Reach flights are, they're not unimportant flights, but they usually don't have top dignitaries on them. When they have top dignitaries, they're called a SAM flight, a special air mission. We've gone over this a number of times on this program. When the flight returns from Fort Huachuca back to Washington, D.C. by way of El Paso, it gets a SAM designation. It becomes SAM 702. And so there's somebody on the flight on the second leg that left the morning of September 9th. There's somebody on that flight that probably, in my opinion, wasn't on that flight on the way out. Who is that? Well, we don't know. But that wasn't the only weird flight on September 8th. I'm going to show you another one here real quickly. There's a lot of ads on this screen. These are not anything I can control. This is ADSB. This is a flight from Richmond. This is where the FBI plane seems to fly in and out of mostly. This flight leaves, if you look over here on the left-hand side of the screen, at 13:50 Zulu time. So if you're going to go on Utah time, you have to subtract 6 from that. So 13 becomes 7. So that's 7:50 a.m. Utah time. This flight leaves Richmond. This is an FBI plane on September 8th. And it arrives in Salt Lake City. It arrives, this is 1800 Zulu, subtract 6. It arrives around noon on September 8th. And you can even see where it goes. It lands on the ground here, and then it taxis, and you can see this black line tells you where it finally terminated at 1805 Zulu time. That's 0 time, which subtracting 6 hours gives you 12:05 on September 8th. So the question is, what is an FBI plane doing in Salt Lake City? Is this normal? Is this a normal flight for them? Well, no. In fact, it's not. We've tracked 2 executive FBI planes. They've only visited Utah one other time before this that we could find, going all the way back to the beginning of 2024. They only visited one other time. That flight stayed on the ground for about 50 minutes. It landed at noon, and it took back off at 12:55 on September 8th. And that was 2 days before Salt Lake City becomes sort of the epicenter of the Charlie Kirk investigation. Because 2 days later, he'd be killed. Okay, it's just one flight. Nothing weird there. Then we have another flight. This flight's a little more interesting, and I think we could probably guess exactly what this flight was doing. We don't know what the September 15th flight was doing, but we can guess what this flight was doing. This flight takes off out of suburban Washington, D.C. This is Manassas Airport. And it flies to Idaho Falls. What's it doing in Idaho Falls? It lands around 16:30 Zulu time and takes off around 17:30 Zulu flight time. So it was on the ground for about an hour, give or take. Roughly an hour. We can probably guess what it's doing in Idaho Falls. The surgeon, Dr. Lee DuPont Trotter, the surgeon who we're told valiantly tried to save Charlie Kirk's life after he was taken down in Orem, Utah, that's where he lives. He lives in Idaho Falls. He practices in a few different hospitals. He's not based at one single hospital. He was at the hospital in Orem, Utah that day, September 10th, but he lives in Idaho Falls. So we could probably guess what the guy was doing, what this plane was doing. Of course, the FBI would want to have interviewed the doctor, right? So you go by, maybe drop somebody off. I don't know. Maybe meet him at the airport. We're just going to fly in, meet at the airport. But I don't understand why that couldn't have been a phone call. You know, why do you have to why do you have to fly to Idaho Falls to talk to the doctor face to face? Okay, well, we'll give you once. We'll give you once. Maybe you want to go out there one time and look him in the eye, size him up. That's one of the two FBI planes. And so it's a little shocking when we keep tracking the planes and we realized that was not the only time they went to Idaho Falls. There was actually a second time just 4 days later that they go to Idaho Falls. They leave the suburban Washington, D.C. area. There's Manassas again. And they fly to Idaho Falls. Same thing. They land at 16:59 and take off at 17:49. They were there about 50 minutes again. And that was September 19th. So the first visit to Idaho Falls was 5 days after Charlie Kirk passed away. The second Idaho Falls visit from the FBI is 9 days after Charlie Kirk passes away. Again, why isn't it a video call? I mean, say you want to look the guy in the eye. Okay, the second one, let's do a video call. These are government planes. This is a Gulfstream 5. Again, we're talking $100,000, $150,000 round trips. You're there an hour. You're going to pay $150,000 for an hour? Why? What are we doing in Idaho Falls? What was happening on September 19th? I'll tell you precisely what was happening on September 19th, because here we have the principal herself, who's currently on vacation, live on air September 19th. And guess who she is claiming to have talked to in the very near recent past?
So in the short run, he agrees that rather than send the footage, he will get onto a FaceTime call with me and he will show me the footage on his computer. He did that and I watched the footage and I'm going to tell you what I saw. And
she's talking about the footage from behind Charlie Kirk. This is oh, sorry, I would not do that to you. Hold on. There we go. We're talking about the footage behind Charlie Kirk. You remember shortly after Charlie Kirk goes down, there's a guy named Terrell Farnsworth who works for TPUSA. He's a contractor, but he's based out of TPUSA's headquarters. He's the guy who filmed oh no, they shot Charlie. Charlie's dead. He's the guy who did that. Everybody else is running for their lives or trying to render aid or do something. And he's gotten to a high position and he's filming Charlie and himself and he's flipping the camera back and forth. You get to see them trotting Charlie to the car and he's like, they shot Charlie. And then you look back and they see Frank jump in the car. Oh, they shot Charlie. He's dead. He's dead. That was Terrell Farnsworth. September 19th, Candace reported that she had spoken to Terrell Farnsworth. Well, guys, you don't speak to someone and immediately jump on a podcast 5 minutes later. That's not how it works. You speak to someone, you marinate on it, you prepare a show. Like she obviously spoke to him before the show started. And it was that same day that she goes live that the plane is en route back to the doctor. September 19th. So one gets the idea that Terrell was not supposed to have shown that photograph to anyone, shown that video to anyone. And people were not supposed to know what the details were from that video. Namely, I believe, that no bullet went through, that there was no shot from behind. Because, well, what day did she do this one? Because just 3 months ago, March, she takes us all the way back to September of 2025, a couple of weeks, week and a half after Charlie passes, and she gives an explanation of how the FBI interpreted her phone call with Terrell Farnsworth and her seeing the video footage from behind.
Do you want to know how I know that it caused panic? Because the very next day, on September 20th, Justin Strife was contacting my husband several times, asking him if I had recorded that FaceTime call with Terrell. It came across like an urgent matter. I was sitting in the living room. George came to me. He's like, hey, I don't know what's going on, but like Justin Strife is hitting me up. He's asking me if you recorded. What's he talking about? I said, what? Why does he care? Why is this urgent? Why are they following up with you? What's up? And he's like, I don't know. What? And then I explained to him what happened. And I said, honey, don't answer the question. I find the question in and of itself to be weird. Why do they care if I recorded and have the back footage? And guess what? I found out why. I found out. Do you want to know why they were feeling a bit of pressure? Who it was in particular that was placing pressure on Justin Strife and Frank Carney to determine whether or not I had recorded that back footage? The feds were. The FBI. The FBI was on the phone with Justin Strife, Frank Carney, and they were apparently speaking to the feds that day about whether or not I had recorded the footage. Now, why do you think this information was so important to the FBI? Why would the feds be concerned about whether or not I had the back footage? I'm screen recording a FaceTime call. They've got it in 4K. They're not protecting Erika. It's everywhere. Unbeknownst to me at that time, this was also the exact day of Charlie's private burial. And yet, this is what they were consumed with. Erika was highly concerned about the back footage as well. So much so that rather than attending exclusively to her husband's private funeral, okay, the higher priority for Erika on that day was to curate a response to the public regarding why the bullet had not gone through. I want to say that again, okay? Responding to my episode where I simply told the public the truth that there was no bullet that passed through was deemed a higher priority than Erika being fully emotionally present at her husband's funeral. Her and Andrew were discussing this. They peeled off to the side and they conferenced the surgeon on the day of Charlie's actual funeral.
So they conferenced the surgeon on September 20th. It was September 19th that the FBI plane flew into Idaho. It was before September 19th at Candace's show that Terrell Farnsworth showed her the video footage. So we have a situation that sometime before Candace's show on September 19th, I don't know if it's September 18th, early in the morning on September 19th, I don't know when it was, but Candace and Terrell are going back and forth. Can I see the footage? Can I see the footage? Can I see the footage? And finally, Terrell's like, fine, I'll show you the footage. Just, I can't send it to you, but I'll show it to you. So he puts her on FaceTime and he shows her the footage. September 19th, Candace announces to the world that she had seen the footage. September 19th, the Federal Bureau of Investigation flies back to Idaho Falls, where they had just been 4 days before, presumably to talk to the doctor. And it's the following day after the FBI plane goes to Idaho Falls on September 19th, September 20th, according to Candace, I'm just taking her to word, but on September 20th, now the doctor is able to have a conversation with Andrew and with Erika about possibilities for why the bullet didn't go through. It makes you wonder if they were not 9 days, 10 days into it, very concerned about the fact that a 30-06, a rifle that shoots like a cannon, that every hunter in the world knows goes through a neck and blows to quote the great Jimmy Dore, blows a drive-through window out the back of a neck. They were obviously concerned about why the bullet did not escape. Because on September 20th, they conferenced with the doctor, Erika and Andrew. Again, this is all according to Candace Owens. And I have very strong reason that I've corroborated independently to believe her that some of these phone calls at least took place. I can't corroborate every phone call, but I can corroborate some of the phone calls. And I can tell you without a doubt that at least some of the phone calls took place. 2 of the phone calls she's referenced, I know for a fact took place. Or at least I have independent corroboration they took place. I can't tell you which ones because that'll give away who my source is on that. That leads to this evening, September 20th tweet. This is the day Charlie was laid to rest, allegedly. September 20th, 6:57 p.m. Central Time. So this would be 5:57 p.m. Mountain Time and 4:57 p.m. Pacific Time. Andrew Kolvet writes one of the strangest tweets ever drafted in the history of Twitter. I want to address some of the discussion about the lack of an exit wound with Charlie. Obviously, that was the cause of panic because that is his topic sentence for this entire tweet. I'm usually not interested in delving into most of this kind of online chatter. And I apologize, this is somewhat graphic, but in this case, the fact that there wasn't an exit wound is probably another miracle. And I want people to know. I just spoke with the surgeon who worked on Charlie in the hospital. So he spoke with the surgeon on September 20th. We have verification from him, and I'm telling you I can verify that independently. He spoke with the surgeon who worked on Charlie in the hospital on September 20th. The day after the FBI flew into Idaho Falls, where the surgeon who worked on Charlie in the hospital lives. For the second time in 4 days. The FBI flies for the second time in 4 days into Idaho Falls, and that happens to be where the surgeon who worked on Charlie lives. And we looked through all the past FBI planes, flights, as far back as we could find, no other visits to Idaho Falls. Just these 2, September 15th and September 19th. Just 5 and 9 days after Charlie Kirk passed away. So we can probably safely assume who they were talking to in Idaho Falls. They fly in on the 19th. On the 20th, Andrew has a conversation. He said, he being the surgeon, he said the bullet, quote, notice the quote marks here. The bullet absolutely should have gone through, which is very normal for a high-powered, high-velocity round. Despite what Paramount Impractical says, it is very normal for a high-powered 30-06 to go through necks. So Andrew says that he quoted the surgeon as saying. I've seen wounds from this caliber many times, and they always go through everything. Now, there's this push out there right now to tell you 30-06s routinely stop in necks. What are you talking about? Everybody knows 30-06s stop in necks. This is not unusual. Bullets do weird things. Nope, not according to the surgeon. Not according to this quote. This would have taken down a moose or 2, or an elk, etc. Now, I will say this. I believe this quote came directly from the surgeon. I don't believe this was a misquote. I believe the rest of this down here might be a misquote, but I don't believe for a second this is a misquote. I am confident the surgeon said this, that the bullet absolutely should have gone through and through, very normal for a high caliber, high velocity round, and that the doctor has seen wounds from this caliber many times, and they always just go through everything. This would have taken down a moose or 2 or no. I believe the surgeon said this. And I believe the surgeon believed it. And I believe it. That wound would have gone through and through if he'd have been shot in the neck with a 30-06, period. But it didn't go through. This is where I think Andrew picks up his artistic license that they later, I guess he's never fully retracted this, but it didn't go through. Charlie's body stopped it. I mentioned to his doctor that there were dozens of staff, students, and special guests standing directly behind Charlie on the other side of the tent, and he replied, quote, "It was an absolute miracle that someone else didn't get killed." Now, this is the part, I don't believe the doctor said this. I believe this is Andrew saying this. His bone was so healthy, and the density was so impressive that he's like the man of steel. Super Charlie. It should have gone through and through. It likely would have killed those standing behind him, too. In the end, the coroner did find the bullet just beneath the skin. Even in death, Charlie managed to save the lives of those around him. Remarkable, miraculous. No, I think you just made up basically everything from here down. I think all that's made up. The surgeon might have even said it was a miracle someone else didn't get killed. Surgeon might have believed that it was a 30-06 and that it should have gone through and through. I don't know. I mean, surgeons are not the ones who are tasked with pulling out the bullets and doing the examination and saying, is this the cause of death? Is this how he was shot? No, that's the medical examiner that's supposed to do all that. The surgeon's supposed to try to save his life. Stop the bleeding, get blood in him. Can we get the heart started? Can we get his breath going? No, he's dead. Okay, I pronounce him dead at whatever, XYZ time. But I don't find this timeline particularly strange anymore. I found it really weird. Like, why would he be talking 10 days later? Oh, because Terrell Farnsworth was talking to Candace. And then Terrell Farnsworth showed Candace the video. And then the FBI flies out back to Idaho Falls to talk to the doctor. And then the doctor talks to Andrew. Interesting. I'm not saying that the FBI was telling the doctor what to say. Now, do they ever go back to Idaho, these feds? Well, yeah, actually they do. They actually do go back to Idaho because 2 days after the September 20th miraculous phone call, 2 days later, one of these FBI planes flies from suburban Washington, that's the Manassas we saw before, flies across the country and lands in Phoenix at Sky Harbor International. That is pretty close to the TPUSA headquarters. It comes in around 1708 Zulu and flies out around 1822 Zulu, so it was there a little over an hour. And then where does it go from there? Let's see. Let's follow the little purple trail. Where are we headed? Oh, we're going back to Boise. No, it's not Idaho Falls, but it's Boise. But it's interesting. The doctor also practices in Boise. So were they backseeing the doctor or were they just doing something totally unrelated? Like they were going into Phoenix unrelated? I don't know. They were going to Boise unrelated? I don't know. The reason I don't think so is they leave Boise and go to Salt Lake City. They leave Boise and go to Salt Lake City. And that's all on the 22nd. And so it looks like to me, the FBI is very much still very involved 12 days after this happened. And they may still be involved today. We know this is a state case. Utah County is prosecuting it. State Bureau of Investigation is supporting it. We know the ATF is doing some forensic analysis on the weapons, for example, and some of the DNA. We know the FBI is doing some forensic analysis. But are they still on the ground doing interviews? Well, maybe. Maybe. Do you remember a guy named Lance Twiggs and how in April he gave a statement that's going to be introduced next week at the preliminary hearing. Now they're not going to bring in Lance Twiggs to speak. They're not going to have him subject to cross-examination. They're going to put in a hearsay document, not the statement he gave September 11th. He gave a statement September 11th. That's not the statement they're introducing. They're introducing a statement he gave in April. So what do we have here? We got the FBI plane leaving Richmond, a common place for the FBI plane to leave. We've got it circling over Cedar City. I don't know if that has anything. Maybe they're just buying time to land, but they go to St. George. Look at this. The FBI plane is back in St. George. St. George, of course, being the area, St. George and Washington. You see those right there? See Hurricane over here on the right? This is Hurricane. That's where the sheriff's department is, the Washington County Sheriff's Office. St. George and Washington, these little looking like twin cities down here. This is where Lance and Tyler are from. This is where the Twiggs and the Robinsons, this is where they reside. And the FBI plane comes in to St. George at the end of April. Do they go back? Is that the only time that they go? No. They were there that day for about 2 hours. And on May the 1st, they actually go back again, back to St. George. Here is the plane leaving Richmond. And here is it flying into St. George. On this time, it only stayed about an hour. The previous time, it stayed about 2 hours. So I'm not, when you look at these flight records, you can't say for certain who was on the plane or what were they doing there. But if you look at context clues, you can get a pretty good idea. Like, I'm pretty confident those 2 Idaho Falls planes were to talk to the surgeon or to drop somebody off to talk to the surgeon. I'm pretty confident of that. I can't think of any other reason why the FBI is going to Idaho Falls on September 15th and 19th. And keep in mind, Candace had been talking to Terrell Farnsworth, trying to get access to that video footage. She finally did get access to the footage and talked about it on the 19th. But it's not unheard of. It's not unheard of for people to be observed. Maybe Terrell said something around the TPUSA headquarters. That Candace Owens, she's really bothering me to get a hold of this video footage, and someone overhears it and talks to the FBI. Or maybe we don't know who listens to these things. Maybe Candace or Terrell or both were monitored in some capacity, and the FBI realized that these conversations, I don't know. I can't answer why. But I don't find it just coincidental that the FBI flies out to Idaho Falls the very day that Candace announces she had seen the footage. And then the following day, the FBI, in a panic, calls Justin Strife, the COO of TPUSA, saying, did Candace record the footage? And Justin Strife then calls George Farmer saying, did Candace record the footage? I don't find that particularly unusual. But I want to leave the flights alone for a second. We recall Erika doing the Megyn. We've looked at this before. This is part of a tour that Megyn Kelly was doing in the fall of 2025. She was going around and doing her live appearances and turning those into podcasts. I don't know if she has a radio show or what it is. This was the last stop of the Megyn Kelly tour. And she is with, I'll just say it, what I perceive as a very strangely dressed Erika Kirk. She's wearing head to toe lace. I've never worn that. Mrs. Coleman's never worn that. But she's appearing here with Megyn Kelly. She looks a little like Spy versus Spy, right? Where one of them's dressed in all black, one of them's dressed in all white. You guys remember that from Mad Magazine? And they would like go after each other. That's what it reminds me of, Spy versus Spy. But this took place on November 24th, the last date of the Megyn Kelly tour. This was planned in advance. You don't just show up. Well, guess what? We have the comeback of the century. Hold on, where's that text? There it is. We have the comeback of the century While most of the country was grieving, I would say almost all of the country was grieving. While almost all of the country is grieving the loss of Charlie Kirk, and almost nobody can figure out what happened. Like they just had the funeral the public funeral on September 21st. I mean, 11 days after he passed away. And then a couple of 3 days later, everybody's sort of walking around in a haze and a daze. Not Erika. Not Erika. She's already planning the Megyn Kelly stop. This is an internal text from TPUSA dated September 24, 2025. Hey, MK, that's Megyn Kelly, MK tour team, wondering if there's a headshot they can use for Erika for all the tour materials. For what? Is Erika doing the tour? Says Andrew Kolvet. Yes, according to so-and-so, the Glendale stop. I think even Andrew Kolvet at that point was like, really? We're doing tours already? Like, we're bouncing back that quick? Should we be doing tour stops or discussing tour stops 3 days after the public memorial? Yeah, I think so. This is where we've played this clip before. This is the discussion that Erika Kirk had on the tour, the final
and
stop.
that you were a businesswoman in New York when you first got interested in Turning Point. So what were you doing in New York?
Remember that question, ladies and gentlemen. What were you doing in New York? What were you doing in New York? This is a great question. Thank you, Megyn, for asking it. Surely we're about to get an answer.
So to go back a little bit further, I mean, right now, first and foremost, I'm a daughter to the King, to the Most High. That's
okay. That's nice. What were you doing in New York, ma'am? That was the question on the table. How far back are we going? You said to go back a little bit. I guess you're going back before you were in New York. So
the most important title, if you will. And my husband, in August, before all this happened, he had a event where he had some donors at. And one of the first questions they asked was, God forbid if something happens to you, like what would happen next to Turning Point? And Charlie made a really interesting point. He said, companies, example, Apple, Macintosh. He said,
I just point out that Apple and Macintosh are the same company, but that's okay.
They're founder-led. He said, but what I have built will one day, if I'm not around, be vision-led.
Okay. The question on the table, ma'am, was what were you doing in New York before you met Charlie? I'll let you continue. I just wanted to remind you the question.
And he had made mention at the end, Erika will do a great job running it. And when I watched that video this week, it really put into perspective my youth and what I went through growing up and what I witnessed, my mom having her own company and being a single mother and watching her be the blueprint of, I'm not afraid of raising my children alone because I saw my mom do that. I'm not afraid of being a CEO because I saw my mom do that. The only thing that I fear, to be fully transparent with you, is being out of the alignment of God's will, because I feel like that is a very dangerous position to be in.
Okay. The question was, what were you doing in New York? It's a great question. We're all curious. We'll let you continue. Hopefully we're about to get there.
And so for me, growing up, when I was in New York, it was one of those moments where I really trusted God. That's where I needed to be. I prayed on it at first because originally I was living in LA. And I said, Lord, if this is where you need me to be, make it so clear. Bought a one-way ticket to New York, one suitcase. My mom was like, what are you going to do when you're there? I was like, I'll figure it out once I get there. I just know that's where the Lord needs me. And so many people question that. They said, you're such a strong Christian. Why would you go to such a dark city? And I said, the more that you take the light out of a dark place, the darker it gets. So that's where I'm going. And I was there, and
Yeah, but when I moved to New York, my
Okay, so what were you doing in New York? Well, we're not going to find out. She didn't want to talk about what you were doing in New York. Tells me we need to push. What were you doing in New York? Okay, last thing here. We talked last night about Graham Cracker Allen. Love talking about Graham Cracker Allen. Love talking about these Fed slop fedders. Graham Cracker Allen last night, we talked about his role at the Pentagon. The X account known as DoD Rapid Response has more than 155,000 followers and says it supports the mission of SecDef and fighting against fake news. It's managed by Graham Allen, former conservative podcaster who's now the Defense Department's Director of Digital Media. Rapid Response? Where have I seen Rapid Response? Oh, that's right. The FBI has a Rapid Response, and it's snarky and ugly and mean and makes fun of Candace Owens. Sounds a little bit like Graham Allen's Twitter feed. Someone named M, goes by Minnie and then a string of zeros after an underscore on X, said, I found your guy behind the FBI Rapid Response account. I can't verify but I'll show you what she says here. Previously, Baron and Daisy pointed out that Graham Allen was behind the Department of War Rapid Response account, formerly DoD Rapid Response. This clown is running the show with his favorite blonde-haired blue shirt emoji. So this is Graham Allen, very recently, making fun of Candace Owens with his little, hand emoji, right? Hand emoji. Well, okay, well, what does that have to do with anything? Well, would you notice that the FBI Rapid Response is run by somebody with an affinity for the exact same stupid hand emoji? The failing New York Times needs to be having a hard time adjusting to a new reality. That's why everything is behind a paywall, because they need the money. It's fake news, lies. They will be held accountable. So is Graham Allen running this? Because he was running the DOW Rapid Response, and look, weird way to say SecDef carries out the lawful orders of POTUS. That's kind of the job. Okay, so maybe he's running those two. Well, we know that Graham Allen loves the DoD Rapid Response account because he, just as recently as today, retweeted the FBI Rapid Response. This is something common when you run a fake account. You will often retweet it if you have a big following to try to get the fake account some views here. The FBI Rapid Response comes in with it doesn't use the emoji, but it's just clickbait garbage, fake news. It's got all the symbols or all the signs here that this FBI Rapid Response really raises questions whether or not this guy who retweeted at the top, Graham Allen, is the one operating the account. But guess who else has a Rapid Response account? I bet you didn't know this, did you? Remember, Graham Allen left and goes back, and now he's a TPUSA contributor. Guess what happened? He opens the Department of War Rapid Response account in February of 2026. Look what opens in March of 2026. The official TPUSA Rapid Response account. The official Rapid Response account of TPUSA. Thank you, Travis, over on X. NeilOX. What are the chances Graham Allen runs this newly created Rapid Response account too? So it seems like there's a pretty good case, perhaps, that Graham Allen might actually be the one running the Rapid Response at Department of War, FBI, and TPUSA. I don't know. I think if he's running either the Department of War or the FBI Rapid Response account, still, we got a problem on our hands. Here is the original TPUSA Rapid Response. Here's one from June 2nd. about the women's conference. This is not really a rapid response. You're just promoting your event. This is not really a rapid response. You're just promoting a ruling by the judge. This is not really a rapid response. You're just promoting some speaker at some event. So maybe TPUSA doesn't quite understand what rapid response accounts are for. But that's what we're getting out of it. That's what we're getting out of it. And what did we learn today? I like doing that. I like the summary. The first thing we learned is that Andrew Kolvet apparently, at least in my opinion, has an issue with the truth, has a documented, self-admitted desire to lie, that Charlie didn't appreciate it and chastised him and corrected him on it, and that now that Charlie's gone, apparently, if those text messages can be believed, and I believe they can, is laughing about misstated facts these days. Even the misstated facts grossly inflate by 233% the numbers of new people they had come into the TPUSA fold shortly after the taking down of Charlie Kirk. So that's a problem. That's a real problem. So that's number one. Number two, there's something going on with the doctor in this case. Something going on that necessitated, I believe, 2 flights by the FBI into Idaho Falls where the doctor lives, and a tweet from Andrew Kolvet lying, a fake tweet that purports to be from the doctor, talking about how miraculous Charlie Kirk's spine is, how strong it is. That's a little weird. And for being honest, that's a little weird. And the third thing, well, there's really 4. The third thing is that Erika Kirk bounces back faster than anybody. 3 days after the public memorial, she's going on tour. Like, she's already planning to go on tour. There was no holding back Erika Kirk to see how she was received. There was no go home and grieve for a little while. No, it was like, oh, I got a chance to be on Megyn Kelly? Book it. I need a fresh promo. Who's got my headshot? That's pretty quick. That's a pretty quick turnaround. A pretty quick turnaround. I think it's things like that that make grieving widows despise her. I think it's things like the 30-06 not going through the neck that make people like hunters and military people despise the narrative that Tyler Robinson shot Charlie Kirk in the neck with a 30-06. And I think it's things like the Graham Allen rapid response weirdness that makes people realize this entire operation is just covered up with feds and that we're being manipulated and lied to every single day. I want to know who killed Charlie Kirk, how, and why. And if TPUSA had nothing to do with it, I think they should be exonerated. But the worst way to be exonerated, the one thing you cannot do when you're trying to be exonerated is to lie. To lie over and over and over and to get caught lying over and over and over. And one of the most unfortunate realities is Erika Kirk has been caught lying a lot. Documented lies. Like, does she have 2 degrees? How many beauty pageants has she been in? I mean, these are basic biographical facts. Why would you lie about any of that? Like if I told you I played for the Cubs, in Major League Baseball, you didn't play for the Cubs. I'd look pretty foolish, wouldn't I? I told you I had 2 undergrad degrees, and you only have 1. Well, that would look pretty foolish. I think you would rightly look at me and say, well, can we believe anything he says? If I'm asked what was I doing in New York, and I give you a tale about how I'm a son of the king, that's the most important title, and then I go on to say, well, I was raised by a single mother, and you say, well, no, you weren't raised by a single mother. Erika Kirk did the same thing. Oh, I was raised by a single mother, so that doesn't worry about me. You weren't, though. Your mother was remarried. And she ran a company with your stepfather who lived in the house. And at one point, you're quoted in an article saying your parents and grandparents lived in the house. Like it was a full house. How many years did you play college basketball? 1 versus 2? Like, that's a documented fact. Why would you lie about it? There's just a deep culture among these new TPUSA people for dishonesty. Even Blake Neff, right? I'm sorry. Just a deeply dishonest actor. I find his treatment of that woman under a pseudonym just disgusting, and that's dishonest to me. If you're going to open up a pseudonym and harass an Asian woman across the course of many years, there's something wrong with you, dude. That's dishonest behavior. That's gross. And these are the people running the show. These are the people running TPUSA 2.0. And so when you come to us and you say, well, you guys are accusing Erika Kirk of X, Y, and Z. Well, do you have a quote for that? Or am I just accusing Erika Kirk of being dishonest? Because I feel like I've proven that. You know, in my opinion, I feel like we've proven she's dishonest. Well, that doesn't mean I'm accusing her of pulling the trigger. I think that's foolish. I've never said that. I don't believe that's true. Oh, you guys are just trying to take down TPUSA. No, what I'm trying to do is point out that you guys are saying that TPUSA is going to be instrumental in who the next vice president and president of the United States is going to be, who the next U.S. senators are going to be in the various states. You guys are saying these people are instrumental, and I'm saying these aren't the type of people I want making those decisions. They're dishonest people. I don't want dishonest people making these decisions. I don't want dishonest people controlling billion-dollar organizations that impact who the next president of the United States is going to be. I prefer honest people in those positions. And so, no, I don't believe that you were on that plane. Because if you were, there are ways to prove it. You obviously think it's worth proving because you leaked out a stupid itinerary that looks like it was glued together by a fifth grader. But if you were on the plane and you do seek to prove it, just prove it, man. There are ways to prove it. You guys fly on Paradise Jets charters all the time. If you're on a Paradise Jets charter, just ask them for the manifest. If you're on a different company, say, hey, I was on that flight. I need it. But that's, they don't do that. If you were with your kids on that day, prove it. Don't send out a fake alibi picture from another day and say I was with my kids, and then it turns out those aren't your kids. And that's not the right day. It makes you look bad. It makes you look terrible. You can't blame us for saying you look bad when you do stuff like that. If you're going to think it's worth putting up an alibi and then your alibi falls apart, you can't then blame us for pointing out your alibi fell apart. You blame yourself. If it's not worth putting out an alibi, ignore the criticism. But the worst sin of all, what they've done here recently, the worst sin of all that TPUSA has done, rather than go out and answer any of the questions, they go hire these attack dogs so that they can sit back and act like they have clean hands. We don't have anything to do with these attacks. And then these attack dogs that they bring in to hire, they go out and they try to create problems. Well, once they do that, they become fair game. We're allowed to do the research and allowed to see who are these attack dogs? What are they doing? Oh, this attack dog was on a swinger site? Okay, well, here's the evidence. Oh, this attack dog used to call Charlie Kirk horrible names and called his wife retarded, or Erika Kirk? Yeah, okay, well, here you go. Oh, this attack dog is an actual Fed, like admitted Fed? Yeah, okay, here you go. Like, we're allowed to do that. And if you don't want us doing that, don't send these stupid attack dogs after us. That's not us being the bad people. That's just us saying this is who they're hiring. They're hiring these people. This is who TPUSA is associating with. I've never accused Andrew of being on a swinger site. Doesn't mean he hadn't been, but I've never accused him of it. find it deeply disturbing because all of this discussion started over a man's homicide. And rather than just come out and say, oh my gosh, our boss, our best friend, our husband died, what can we do to help? You guys have questions. What are your questions? Here's all the information we have. You hide behind these fake alibis, these fake excuses. You tell these lies, you spin these tales, you act all weird, and then anyone who points out any of it is the bad guy. That's how most of these cases unravel. That's how most of the time when somebody is determined to have committed a crime when we previously thought that person was a victim, it usually is because they weren't acting right after the fact. Go back to Corey Richins in Utah. Husband dies. She goes out on grieving widow tours. She sells books. She becomes famous for being the grieving widow, does television interviews, and all of a sudden people are like, she's not acting right. You sure she didn't do it? And you dig into it, you're like, oh my gosh, she did do it. We should arrest her. And they did, and they convicted her. Now she's going to spend the rest of her life in the pokey, in the slammer, in the big house. That's how these things come undone. People aren't acting right. You start realizing everything they say is a lie. They're not acting right under the circumstances. They don't seem very concerned. Every time you ask about where they were, they tell a lie. Like, if I'm accused of murder, the last thing I want to do is lie about where I was that day. If I tell you I was with my mom and my mom is gravely ill and we were at the clinic and I collapsed in the parking lot, I better have been there. There better not be anybody on the phone refusing to confirm or deny if I was at their business on the other side of town. There better not be any doctors in any other locations that are saying, well, maybe she was with me. No. Must be where you said you were. And if you said you came in on a certain plane, you better have been on that plane. Particularly if the alternative plane indicates you knew about it. We've got a lot of this going on. You better not be putting words in the surgeon's mouth to support a gunshot narrative that is falling apart, that everybody looks at and says, no, I'm telling you right now, if you put grieving widows, actual widows, and hunters on that jury, he's walking. I will promise you that. If you get 2 hunters and 2 widows on that jury, he's not going to prison. And that's not us being bad. That's just commentary on reality. That is me commentating on reality. That's all that is. When you come across an actual widow and the topic of Erika Kirk comes up, they don't have nice things to say. Not just in my comment section. I'm talking about anywhere in society. Even someone who knows a widow, they don't have nice things to say about her. That's not me. That's just people observing with their own peepers what she's doing. That's people that look and say, on September 24th, 14 days, 2 weeks to the day after your husband died, you're searching for a headshot to go on a tour with Megyn Kelly? What? What are you talking about? You were laughing at emojis 5 days later? You're bragging about merch 2 days, 3 days after the event? You called your husband's memorial the event of the century? And said you pulled off the event, and then you're bragging about merch sales and signups, and this is weird, guys. You can't blame us for pointing out the weirdness. That's not how this game works. You guys are the weird ones. We're just observing weirdness and commenting on it and pointing it out. Hey, there's weirdness going on here. And if you refuse to answer the questions, that's fine. Just go away. Just let us do our job. Let us look into this. Let us see if we can figure out who killed Charlie Kirk, how, and why. And if the answer comes back to Tyler Robinson, so be it. I'm beginning to think every day more and more that that's not a possibility, but open to it, certainly. But if you hire people to go out and be your attack dogs to come after us, you look awfully guilty. And this whole X community that you guys have cultivated that goes out and attacks individual podcasters, individual commentators who are just trying to investigate this murder. This whole community you guys have cultivated and developed and pay, and many of the people you're paying for. It's weird. It looks guilty. I'm sorry, it just does. Does it mean you're guilty? I don't know. I really don't know. But I can say if you were guilty, it's what you would do. You would hire pugilists to go out there and do battle on X. You would have your paid contributors, Graham Allen, Brandon Tatum. You would work through podcasters, Gary and Practical. You would work through bloggers, House and Habit. Then you would feed all this information out so you could sit high and mighty behind there. Guys, it's weird. Don't blame us for noticing. We're allowed to notice weirdness and comment on it. And that's what we've done. It's all we've done. If you don't like it, answer some questions. If you don't like it, provide some alibis and evidence. I mean, you have a Fifth Amendment right to remain silent in this country. There's no doubt about that. But any lawyer will tell you, once you waive it, you start answering questions, you need to keep answering questions. Otherwise, you look really bad. You look really, really, really bad. If you've liked the program, by all means, please feel free to play along at home by jumping in and seeing what we have to offer. I will show you the new clips channel. We're putting new clips up daily. These have really taken off and doing a great job here. Baron Coleman Clips. You can check it out. Same branding as the show has, just has the word clips in there. But you come down and it has all these different clips. Just this Frank Turk one's actually really good. I liked it a lot. I watched it. Editing is phenomenal. A couple of clips ago, we went all the way back to episode 8. You can see the background there. The camera and the lighting is terrible because that's the way this program used to look. But we go through, we got some openings, we've got some content. It's just a lot of fun over there. So go by Baron Coleman Clips, subscribe by all means, subscribe. And you can get little daily doses. It's nice when you want to feed it out to somebody and you don't have to say, hey, here's a 4-hour podcast if you want to get caught up. Here's a 15-minute opening. You kind of open up everything you need to know about the Charlie Kirk case, or at least give you a starting point. If you want any merch, realbaronpodcast.com, click merch or scroll down and click view all, and you'll be able to see all the merch. There's a lot of cool stuff up right there, adding new stuff regularly. Some of the older stuff comes down. We rotate stuff in and out. So check that out as well. If you've liked the program, please click like. It helps. It helps. When the more likes we have, the more YouTube goes, oh, people like this show. We should show it to other people. And it really does help the channel. If you are come across it later and you enjoyed it, you can click the video and drop a little comment in there. That helps put it on the fast track as well. So thank you guys. Don't forget to subscribe to the program, and I will roll through some of your comments. Ahora. Go backs. I have to watch replay. Yeah, you tell me you're giving up. First live I'll miss since September when I was 412th live viewer. Wow. I remember those days. I have to watch Florida gubernatorial debate on that Zio show. Thanks for the info on Apple. Extra charge for Membo. Love you. Christ is King indeed. Yeah, if you want to join the membership, but you don't want to pay the Apple fee, don't use the app. Go through a browser. Just jump on a laptop or a computer. Just use a browser and join the members channel that way. It'll save you $3 a month. I don't charge that $3. That goes straight to Apple. Or you can just pull up a browser on your phone, log into YouTube, and join the members show that way. Save you $3 a month. I didn't know that hack until someone pointed it out. So thank you. Veronica Foster Kittens. That's very generous. Thank you. Respectfully, humble host. It's funny every time you refer to your time zone as God's time. My man says, yeah, but we live in God's country. Keep in mind, we live in a very small rural town in the country in an otherwise lunatic liberal state. Just some humor. Christ is King indeed. But we live in God's time. I'm sure where you live is beautiful, but thank you. $70 million in Clock Tower X show faith through works is getting spent like crazy, huh? Yeah, they're blowing through it. I'm not sure what they're getting out of it because it seems like the Fed slop is getting crushed. What happened to Charlie Kirk's mentor, pickleball action? I don't know. I don't play pickleball, but I remember that. And I don't know how he was a mentor. He was a cheerleading guy. It doesn't seem very Charlie to me. Yo, Neff! Don't hire a guy who debates OF garden tools to train debaters of college kids. Makes it look like you think college kids are OF garden tools. This is why we say you're not good at your job. I don't know that Blake Neff hired that guy. I don't know that Blake hired that guy. Do you think there's a chance that Charlie's parents feel like us and know Tyler isn't truly guilty? And they may be going to court to witness firsthand and possibly even support Tyler? I don't even want to speculate. I have no idea. No idea whatsoever. And I've taken a little heat from some of you viewers for not delving in on my opinions on Charlie's parents, but they're private people. They've always been private people. And I have talked to some people Charlie knew growing up, people he knew when he was working early on at Turning Point in the Illinois area who knew his parents. And they're just like, don't talk about his parents. Like, just don't involve them. Like, they're just destroyed. You know, I'm a human. Gotta love Lying Liars show. Go Max, my B. Happy 4th weekend. I'm doing my best. Happy 4th to you. Beautiful day to be in this high IQ Bearhood. Thank you. I appreciate that. Very kind of you. 250th anniversary of USA Brexit. 1776 high IQ outfit. Yeah, I'll give you that. The original Brexit. My twins, Baylor and Broden, will turn 11 on July 4th. Oh, you have twins born on the 4th of July? That's amazing. Special if you wish them a happy birthday. We love listening to you. Thank you. And Christ is King. Happy birthday, Baylor and Bowden. 11. That's a fun age. 11 to 13 is a pretty fun age. 14 to 18, in my opinion, was a little miserable. 19 to 21 is kind of that weird finding yourself, you know, what are you going to be in life kind of thing. And then everything after 21 is a blur. That's how my life broke down. Packing for my Ruby Ruse softball tourney up there in Nashville next week and watching your show. Praying for cooler weather than what we have here in Houston. Have a great show. Jesus loves us all. I don't know what Houston's like, but it's miserable here. I was working out this morning in the garage, and it was a tough workout, but it wasn't long. It was only like 5 or 6 minutes. And I was a puddle. I mean, just head to toe, just a complete puddle. It was horrible. Absolutely horrible. I want to start posting my daily workouts on the Real Baron podcast. Not the video of me, just what I did. That way, if you guys want to follow along at home, you can do it. I'll probably never do that, but I want to. Hi, Baron. Love your show. Had a knee replacement on Tuesday and having a rough day. Starting PT on Monday. Could really use prayers from this amazing community. Pray for Nana Rhonda. Knee replacement's a big surgery. Almost everything you do is on your feet, you know. Almost. 2-year-old goes, with your intro and says, Beenan starting her on high IQ level so she doesn't end up a Joe. We love you, Baron. Christ is King. Thanks for being you. Christ is King indeed. And my baby cousin used to call me Beenan, believe it or not. So that your kid is not the first to call me Beenan. She couldn't say Baron when we were little. But Baron's on fire today. Doing my best. I'm trying. We got a new member. And this is for you. We'll miss your shows next week. Hope they're great. Oh, man. You're going to be gone? Hilly Bean? You have to check. You're going to catch up when you get back. You might miss too much. I am so glad I'm catching you live tonight. Hoping a membo falls on me. Happy Independence Day, I guess. You can still be thankful for the country. You don't have to love everything that goes on. Something I be. Don't know if I'm your biggest UK supporter with the amount of sugar I've eaten lately. I'm definitely in the running for your biggest London support. It's a tough truism, but I tell people this. No calorie has ever entered your mouth against your will. I'm just kidding. I'm just saying. Need a deeper dive for Victor Marks. Did he win? I know he was close. Did he ever end up winning that primary? Humble host, you inspire people to do better and be better. Well, thank you. That's about the nicest thing you can say to somebody. So thank you. Your words help bring more people to God. You have provided a safe community for many. Hope you and your family stay blessed. You are appreciated. I'm doing my best out here. Evil prevails when good men do nothing. Go Max B. I think there's a lot of truth to that. I think there's a whole lot of truth to that. Love being a member of this High Q outfit. Love your humor. Bless you and your family. Thank you for bringing the truth, Baron. Keep going, Max. Christ is King indeed. Man, you guys are nice today. What is this? Holiday greetings or something? You holidays coming around? Everybody's fine. Dearest King B, Edge. I returned to review episode 8, where conclusions were so new and unknown. In my humble opinion, Hunter Kozak, Terrell Farnsworth need more analysis per Honest Ash's vids. It's telling, honestly, I can see a planned event with Charlie Kirk. A planned event with Charlie Kirk. Please clarify. Mitch saw who he thought was EK, someone that looks like Cabot at Fort H. Has Cabot been cleared, and is he now totally out of the investigation? Hello from sunny New South Wales, Australia. I don't know that I ever bought the Cabot Phillips thing. I'll say he's given the most believable denial and alibi. He didn't wait like 3 months of pussyfooting around to finally say, nah, you know, I really, or through some other blogger, here's my picture. No, he just like on his X, here's a picture where I wasn't there. Don't know what to tell you. I mean, from that perspective, yeah. I mean, he by far has been the most believable of the people. Tell Tilly Ratso says hi. I will do that. I will do that. Happy to help out, Baron, if you can figure out how to get back, be back. Christ is King indeed. I don't even know what that means. Happy to figure. Yeah, I need to try to figure that out. I was having trouble adding you. I tried to do that the other day. So let me put some thought into that. I'll be in touch with you one way or the other. From Sean Ryan's show, please tell CO it's called A Nightcap. I've not had a chance to watch it. I've watched like 45 minutes of it, but I had to prepare today. So I was not able to watch too much of it. I'm sure I'll get that comment later. Number one fan from PR. Your voice calms my autistic grandson. He watches you. Thanks for seeking truth. You're a great man of God. Prayers for you and your family. Thank you. It's very kind. Very, very kind words. Glad I could be of some service. By lying liars, I meant AK, not our beloved humble host. Oh, I knew that. You mean all of them, really. But yeah, I knew you weren't downing your humble host. Thank you. Number one fan from Hamilton County, Florida. Go Max King Baron. Love being in this high IQ jury. Thank you. Very kind. You guys are. If I ever need to pick me up, I'm going to go watch today's members conversation. Today's my birthday, too. 186 years younger than USA. You want me to do that math? 64. Congrats. Congrats. Posterity. You will never know how much it cost the present generation to preserve your freedom. John Adams. Most significant founding father, in my opinion, allegedly. I think he's up there. I'm kind of a John Adams fan. It might just be, someone told me this one time. You read a book about someone and then you like become a fan of theirs. And as long as you don't read a book about one of their competitors, you always remain a fan of theirs. And maybe that happened. I didn't read any of the John Adams rival books. I think there might be something to that. BC, please view the Superman vid. First thing he does is lay something in the corner of the gutter with his LH and leaves it. Then he proceeds off building. Never again attends to what he left in gutter. No one else is noticing or mentioning this. Well, I'll pull it up. See if I can find it real fast. I don't want to use that one. Let's see what I can find here. Oh, no, don't want that. FBI, Tyler Robinson, roof, run. I don't know. What are we going to say here? How are we going to? Oh, there it is. All right, let's see if we can see what you're talking about with this roof gutter Superman thing. One of the most dishonest things I watched Bays and Gary last night. One of the most dishonest things is no one's claiming he's Superman up the building. They're claiming he's Superman down the building. Down the building. And he did. Or Spider-Man. All right, let's see here. He's running behind this window now. He's going to pop out behind. There he is. There he is. All right, he runs. Zoom in here. Let's see what's going on. All right, he drops. Did he drop something off there? Is that what you're talking about? Let's see it again. I think that's his shadow. I don't think he put anything in there. Yeah, I think it's just his shadow. Maybe that's why no one's talking about it. I don't know. It's just so grainy. You can't even see what he's doing, much less who he is. Wow, gifting 5 membos. We're gonna have 5 new membos watching Daily Freddo this Friday. Edge, thoughts on Frank Turek's incessant repetition of CK being gone in the SUV? Cover for hinky actions? Well, I hadn't heard the word hinky in a while. He was innocent till he hopped in. Now he's an accomplice. Is he desperately telling us he's not guilty? Jesus loves you. I don't know. That's a good point. I don't know. Baron CK's pendant was taped with a patch to his body so it didn't dangle on the mic. Pendant, mic, both exploded. Shaped charge facing wrong way when taped. I don't know about that. Can you do an opening on Freudian slips and talk about Kolvet saying they're processing their guilt? And EK saying, when I get to heaven, God willing. We all hope we get to heaven. I had a priest explain it to me this way. I have been saved. I am being saved. I hope to be saved. So we're all going to get there, God willing. Finally got the live. Welcome in. So excited. Thank you for your gifts of enlightenment. Never disappoints. Great opening. Love history. Christ is King indeed. Number 1 fan from Grays Lake, Illinois. All the way from Grays Lake. But Baron. Number 1 in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. So says your husband. Would make her day if you said hello to Angie. Hey, Angie. Christ is King indeed. Coeur d'Alene. CDA. P.S. Thank you. Oh, you're welcome. I heard only rich people live in Coeur d'Alene. That could be wrong. Hey, TPUSA, I'm not saying it's a conspiracy. I'm saying the conscience department is severely overstaffed. The coincidence department. Yeah, there's a lot of coincidences. Favorite color hoodie. Call it any color you want, but to me it's periwinkle. Christian. Critter. Periwinkle for you. Baron, my friend, my brain won't wrap around why Erika hasn't been subpoenaed. She's the spouse, next of kin, one who holds the most evidence in her phone records, his phone records, pillow talk, etc. Christ is King and my Savior. You don't know that she hasn't. I mean, that's kind of the only way I'd answer that. You have no idea what they're doing behind the scenes. Did Charlie's security follow protocol for an active shooter? They did not seem concerned about a second shot or second shooter. How did they know there'd only be one shot? Yeah, it kind of looked like that, didn't it? They didn't seem to be too concerned behind the table there of incoming fire. Baron and my online family, sorry I haven't given an update. My mister is still in ICU, supported by the machines. He will see his Lord soon. Please say some prayers and Hail Marys. Thank you all. Much love. My goodness, Evangeline. That is a tough message to read. I'll pray for you, and I hope. I don't know. I don't even know what to hope for, so I'm sorry. I'm terrible at these types of things, so I'm very sorry. Just my opinion, his necklace isn't a pendant. It's a medal, a religious medal. I've never heard a Catholic call it a pendant except EK, and I question her faith. Well, I think the cross could be considered a pendant, right? I'm not sure he had the religious medals on that day. Regarding Charlie Kirk's Denali, GPS Orem Quantico, 2,200 miles. Curious about Quantico Junkyard Service Center and how close this is to grand total driven. God bless you. I have no idea what you're talking about. I mean, no idea. Like, I don't even begin to know what you're talking about. I'm 39. I've learned more about my law, history, politics, etc., being a member of your jury. Thank you, my humble host. Number 1 in Massachusetts. Hey, that's a compliment. Thank you. I appreciate that. We do our best just to shoot straight here. I sometimes wonder if we get things wrong because CK is romanticized so much, and therefore we don't consider he might be in on the psyop. What's the biggest evidence he's actually dead, in your opinion? I mean, he looked dead. I mean, I don't know. You know, the hands in the the hands in the casket, they looked dead, and they had some bruising or burning or something on that left hand. I don't know. I mean, they take it at face value. He's dead. Jefferson never recovered from the edits. You can read the original he drafted online. The edit wasn't minor. Good open, though. Captured most. Thank you. Oh, well. Duly noted. Duly noted. Sent you an email with timestamps this morning from the Brian Harpole, Sean Ryan interview on November 17th. Check it out if you have time. Thanks, Baron. I'm doing my best. I will hold on, I gotta do something here real quick. I will hold on. I've got to do something here real fast. I'll check it out. I think I'll check it out. I don't know why why you're bringing that up. Like, what is it about the Brian Harpole? I would rather you have sent the comment telling me what it is you found interesting about the hold on. I've got to do something here real fast. Well, I'll do it afterwards. I don't understand what you think it is that's interesting about the interview. I wish you'd have spent your comment telling me that instead of telling me you sent me an email with the interesting information. Number one fan in Charleston, West by God, Virginia. Go Max Charlie. Charlie's King. Christ is King. Also, no Scotland, no party. I don't know what that means. No Scotland, no party. Baron, hello from England. Love your show. I've been getting sick on X. I've been getting stick on X from being from UK and supporting you and Candace. They think I'm a bot. Yeah, well, they think anybody who disagrees with them is a bot. Baby, you cooked the haters yesterday. Granted, some cooked themselves. Great show, as per the usual. Happy 4th. Stay safe. Humble host. I'm doing my best out here. Stay safe. Yeah, we cooked yesterday. Some hater cooking. Virginia's biggest fan since GT. Grateful to be part of your show. Well-deserved success. You make learning history fun. May the 4th be with you. Love you, B. May the 4th be with me. That's in May. AK equals Herman Munster. Sorry, Herman. Well, that's not very polite. Room, windows, nailed shut. Men in wool. Summer PA temps. No deodorant. Brutal. Some real patriots. Well, golly gee willikers. That's an interesting description. I don't want to have to smell the room. Friendly nickname for Graham Allen, Bob the Fed. Tomorrow makes 7 months without alcohol. Also my birthday. Want to again, thank you, Baron. Christ is King indeed. A-Train, I could not be happier for you. 7 months without alcohol. I know your life is better than it was. And hope that's an encouragement for others that it's possible. I'm a daughter of the Revelation and a descendant of Cherokee of Tennessee and North Carolina. Okay. Duly noted. Baron, I think you found the one the cops were carrying out of UVU the day after. Mini 14 Ruger. Christ is King, indeed. I think I found the one. Oh, you found the one. You found the weapon that they were carrying. Okay. Mini 14, I'll give you that. Attention, high Q outfit. Allegedly, in my opinion, the FBI may have another TR. Brian Cole Jr., an autistic man, as the J6 pipe bomb suspect. See Tucker Carlson with Steve Baker. I have long believed Brian Cole Jr. did not do it. And I stand by that, pending further evidence. Love being part of this high Q outfit. Thank you. Thank you. Mabi, what advice do you have on homeschooling? I feel lost sometimes because I don't want to teach the fake history I was taught. Where's a good starting point besides this high IQ outfit? So I think what we do with our kids is tell them that this is the mainstream history. You've got to know it because you got to know what people think. But here's what actually happened. And then we just tell them what actually happened. Yeah, they're going to tell you they went to the moon. Whatever. You don't have to believe them. It's not true. House in Habit. She who wrote the story trashing Candace to alibi Andrew K. Smith from the Restaurantology Summit. I did a vid on her and the Mormon Mafia. She writes puff pieces for the Trump team. Love you, my B. Great find, Daisy. Christ is king indeed. Daisy, you've been reduced to days. Christ is king indeed. Wrote the story trashing Candace to alibi Andrew K. Smith. All right. I believe you. Did they really take CK to the hospital? We're not sure. Were AK and AK even there? Look, I don't know. I mean, there's no video evidence of it, certainly, because we don't have a video from that day. So how would we know? My B. Love your history lessons. I would have been a better history student if I had a teacher like you. Oh, that makes me feel good. My fifth great granddad was Thomas McKean, who signed the Declaration of Independence. Happy Independence Day to all. High IQ outfit. God bless. You know, the reason I mentioned Edward Rutledge today, this is a true story. When I was in first grade, we had a teacher's assistant. You know, when you're studying to be a teacher, they send the students out into elementary school classrooms and they let them kind of shadow a teacher for a while. We had a teacher's assistant in first grade named Mrs. Rutledge or Miss Rutledge. She gave us Christmas ornaments as her going away present. I guess she was only there for the first little while. And on the back, it said 1986, Miss Rutledge. But she told us a story that always stuck with me. Her great to the whatever grandfather was Edward Rutledge from South Carolina. That's why I put him in the open today. Just a nod to my first grade teacher's assistant, Miss Rutledge. I have no idea what she's doing now, 40 years later. Probably retired from teaching, if I had to guess. She'd be in her 60s now. Miss Rutledge, if you're watching, thank you. What a great opening. Love from an Englishman. I don't know that. I didn't know that. I could read history to my, I didn't know that. Could you read history to my grandsons? Love you, brother. Thank you. Christ is king indeed. Yeah, I wondered how that was going to go over with our people from the United Kingdom, but it seems to have gone over well with at least one of you. So thank you. On the Paradise Jets itinerary, the address listed on the letterhead, 2710 East Old Tower Road, Phoenix, Arizona, actually belonged to their competitor's company called Jackson Jet Center. I think they moved, if I had to guess. I think we looked that up at one point. Blessings for your number one pan in El Paso, Texas. Not trying to make El Paso relevant, but since Sam Flights made it this way, El Paso airspace was shut down February 10th for 12 hours. No valid explanation as to why. I remember when that happened. And there was no valid explanation. The nerve for Andrew Kolvet to thank God is a lie. It's pretty nervy to credit God with a miracle if that didn't happen. You know what I mean? That's pretty nervy. I'm a proud DAR. Happy 250th, US of A. Christ is king indeed. Tracy, I'm a son of the American Revolution. Not officially. I didn't join the program, but I have a great something, Jacob Coleman II, maybe the third, who fought in the Revolutionary War. Looked it up. It's true. Traveling, not Zarbucks. I changed hemispheres. Christ is king indeed. Oh, you're in the actual hemisphere, the one that exists, the northern hemisphere. You're not down there where the toilet flushes backwards. I think we should class action sue TPUSA for mental abuse. I don't think you would be very successful. As Gary from Paramount Tacticant answered since Candace's interview with Sean Ryan, it's funny how all these shills have the same replies. I don't know. I haven't checked it out. And I don't know what she said that would make him need to answer. First of two. July 2, 1976, America's bicentennial weekend. My husband and I were married. 50 years later, I observed both alone. But I am not just a widow. Oh, sounds like you are. Your name is Protocol Widow. You're not just a widow, though. You're our friend. Andrew Kolvet. You saying he's a big schnoz? Oh, you're saying he's a liar. To your point yesterday about Big Sugar. Mortality of diabetic foot ulcers are 40 to 50% in 3 to 5 years. 1 in 3 Americans are pre-diabetic. 1 in 10 are diabetic. Only a few 100,000 MDs, NPs in the USA. Yeah. Big Sugar's a problem. I try to tell people I share my birthday with the with theme, good old US of A. They all argues with me. I'm glad to hear you speak this truth. I feel seen. Thank you, Baron. Happy birthday to me and Murica. Oh, Aaron, you're a John Adamsite. I see. Yeah. Okay. So happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you on the real birthday of the United States. God bless you, Baron family, and all high IQ people. Yes, all. Because of old movie musical 1776, I could remember how each delegate voted, would recommend. Mr. Feeney plays Adams. Oh, duly noted. I don't know who that is. I don't know who Mr. Feeney is. You mentioned last week wanting to know more about who Charlie was. Are you considered looking into it? Hope so. Yeah, of course. Of course I am. Wasn't there a news blurb that TPUSA was going public on the stock market? It could have been 2 or 3 weeks ago. You can't take a nonprofit public. By its nature, by its charter, it cannot be profit. So that would not be true. TPUSA, I'll never forget. Reality can't keep the story straight. They're absolutely abominable. Keep giving them rope, Granddad. I'm doing my best out here. Granddad reporting for duty. Daisy and I joked about that today, actually. Whenever they say I'll never forget, they're lying. Very impossible that projectile sent something up and under right collarbone, hitting C7, C2. And when shirt expands, we see it hit the back of his shirt and slingshot around to the front. Videos on your X. Christ is King, indeed. Number one fan, Noblesville, Indiana. I've been to Noblesville. Northeast of Indianapolis. No, I don't think so. If for no other reason, I have an image of his chest. I don't know that he doesn't have a wound under his right collarbone. I sent you that crow and have the same one. Twinsies. Glad you love him. I do too. Great opening statement. Happy birthday, Julian Assange. Godspeed, Baron. Oh, Gen X Winch, you're the one who sent this? I'm a big fan of my crow. I like crows in general, but this is a great crow. It's a good-looking crow. Very heavy, too. Heavy crow. Helga Shabalaba Ding Dong. Can anyone go to Tyler's pretrial? I would like to go, but I don't know if I can or if the time it starts. What would you do if you were going to go? Get there early. Leave everything in your car, or don't take it with you. Take only an ID, credit card, maybe a little cash. Leave your phone away and get in line. That's what I would do. The SUV Charlie was driven in was found in California. It was purchased by Westlake Financial. Owner is Don Hankey, an old friend of Trump. Puzzle piece. Potentially a puzzle piece. Am I the only one that noticed Blake Sneff's maniacal laugh as AK was talking about his would-be little white lie? No, I pointed it out quite hilariously during the last time I showed it. If I do say so myself, it was hilarious. I believe I called it a cackle. I think I even said, did I say diabolical or maniacal? But no, you're not the only one that noticed it. Delivering money to Idaho Falls, in my opinion, allegedly perhaps. I doubt it was that. I doubt they're paying them off. Per search, 5,626 post-secondary schools, 26,727 high schools in the U.S. equals 32,353 as of 2025. So 130,000 on Fox Slide. Also false. Go Max. Well, unless they had 4 or 5 for every school, in which case it would be about right on. But yeah, I believe that's probably also false. I always used to tell people in radio when I hosted radio, don't do numbers. Like, do anything you can to avoid talking about numbers. Numbers don't do well over the air. Why was blood all over the vehicle? What were they doing? I don't know. Blood is gross, though. Blood is like an oil. You know, it gets everywhere. Why do they bother lying about anything? It's very obvious they have the authority to have done what they did and get away with it. So why do they bother lying at all? Oh, well, you don't want to admit it. Assuming they did something. You wouldn't just admit it. I don't think. ASAP, the surgeon should come out with a statement that he's not privy to self-deletion. Not privy to self-deletion. I don't know what that means. I spelled maniacal wrong. Swear I'm not low IQ. I didn't even notice. Maybe I'm low IQ. 2 of 2. Since 2021, we seek justice. Ron Johnson is planning a hearing into hospital protocols to get your story on Senate record. Very strict submission requirements. Details from me on YouTube, X, and Facebook. I don't have any 2021 story to tell, but thank you. Since Christ is king is offensive to some, how about JIG or JIL? Jesus is God or Jesus is Lord? That should do, right? No, I don't care if it's offensive. I mean, they nailed it above his head. Jesus Christ, King of the Jews. I mean, they put it right there. Psh. Every single account that I've checked that is in a sticker animation is fake and has zero content on their channel. I'm up to 15. Take their name, type it in YouTube search bar, boom, nothing. It's money. I mean, it spends, So I can't help that. Who even has their surgeon's direct contact info? That's a good question. That's a great question. Maybe they traded it because it was such a weird situation. I don't know. YouTube made me reword last message at least 15 times. Really? Talking about the vid? I bet. Those pesky FAA flight records getting in the way of all kinds of lies. The way the liars underestimate the intelligence and curiosity and just plain determination of the American public is astounding. Keep up God's work that he has assigned you. Christ is king indeed. Part of the problem is he got hit in the neck. And as the surgeon was quoted from Andrew Kolvet, it should have gone through and through and does in every situation. Because of that, people started asking what happened. And then his wife came out acting all weird for the next couple of months. And people were like, whoa, what happened? This is not adding up. You put those two together, now people are looking at the pesky FAA flight records. Had he been shot in the chest, no one would have said a word. Everyone talking about exit wounds. Massive damage. The impact of a 30-06 bullet would have sprayed blood and biological material up toward 5 to 8 feet. Nothing makes sense about this dispatch. That's kind of gross, but I kind of agree with you. Hi, Baron. I get so sad every time I see all the corruption we have in our government when most of us voted for a better government. Thank you for opening our eyes. Blessings to you and your family. Christ is king indeed. Hey, Itty, I agree with you. I get sad. I feel duped. I feel like we poured a lot of emotional investment into getting Trump elected. A lot of us did. And for what? So who planted the bullet for the corner to find under the miraculous skin? It's a great question. We don't know the answer to that. We don't know the answer to that. Could have been any number of people. Chain of custody was tragic on that body. Motion to call TF, Farrell Tardsworth, from now on. Motion denied. There's an airport in Cedar. Yeah, there is. That's correct. There is. Cedar City. Joined late, but in case you haven't mentioned it, people should watch the movie from the early 1970s, 1776. It's a fun musical and thorough song. And through song, shows the stuff from the opening in a memorable way. Oh, thank you. Good advice. Still think it's weird that the doc said he called someone he knew high up in government to get let back into the room with CK. Convenient. Yeah, that's what I meant by the custody of the body, just chain of custody of the body just being decrepit. Please look up the plane that left Provo right after the bang. Then went to Arizona, turning off his transponder on the way, and then flew right back to Provo. We've talked about it on the show multiple times. Anytime they say, I'll never forget, they're lying. Yes, we feel the same way here at this program. Andrew says he'll never forget, but then says, I don't even remember what it was about. Come on, bro. Don't insult this high IQ outfit. 1776 originally stage play, featured John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, Ben Franklin, etc. Check it out. Gotcha. Thank you. What proof do we have that Erika wasn't already in Utah? If the Egyptian planes were following her, then she had to be there. Remember, it fired up, so she was talking to someone like a favorite ally. I don't know. Well, keep in mind what program you're watching, because I never subscribed or I never looked into, really, whether the Egyptian planes were following Erika. Like, that's not anything I ever looked at. So I can't speak to that part. I did look into whether she could have been there earlier, and there certainly would have been the opportunity for her to have been there earlier. Erika in all lace. Well, I've never done that. Well, I haven't. I mean, I just haven't. Christ is king indeed. Any text between TPUSA and Mosaic? They were quick. Not that I have. Why would they dig up the dirt but only clean the Denali? Because they sold the Denali. I don't know. I keep seeing people say Sean Ryan is stupid. Last night, Gary stated he had brain damage from multiple TBIs and drug use. It seemed very inappropriate. If he acted like he knew everything, his guest would not talk as much. Why am I bothered by this? You're bothered by it because it's a substandard human interaction. Just because someone says something you don't like doesn't mean they're stupid. Or just because they host a guest you don't particularly care for doesn't mean they're stupid. I don't think Sean Ryan's remotely stupid. There have been guests in the past I wish he would have pushed back harder on. Brian Harpole is one of them, for example, but there have been others. But that doesn't mean I think he's stupid. And he's actually, in the last few months, I think, taken a little bit of a turn and starting to be more aggressive. John Adams has always been my favorite president, the original GOAT. He's top 6 or 8 for me. Favorite, but he's one of my favorite founding fathers, if that tells you anything. She's so bad at answering anything at all on the fly, and she never answers honestly. Well, that's a problem that we have been encountering over and over and over. Blank or call logs between TPUSA and Missouri. No, we don't have any of those either. I'm sorry. Red, white, and Baron. BLTs for dinner. Keep going, Max. Christ is king indeed. BLTs sound delicious. That's kind of an American meal. 1776 had a great soundtrack record. Well, yeah, I got you. Much better than history class. I'm not playing short change, but I believe you guys on the 1776 musical. I totally believe you. Why can I block everyone except those who send stupid, useless gifts? I don't know. Part 1, Baron, it's driving me crazy. I swear, Frankie boy, when he dropped to his knees, he grabbed something off the grass. I don't believe he did. I thought I'd say video, but didn't. At the time, I was focused to see if he was on. It didn't look like he was on FaceTime when he got back up. Can you debate the guy Real Bays debated yesterday? It was painful watching that guy lie. I'm not. No. For multiple reasons with Gary, but for one, what is there to debate? There's nothing to debate right now. There's a series of evidence, and some people see it one way, some people see it the other. There's not a debate. That's just, I disagree. You see it different? Oh, I see it differently. Okay, next. Oh, I don't see it that way. I see it this way. Okay, next. That's boring. It's boring. DK's so dishonest, in my opinion. Answer the question, ma'am. What were you doing in New York? Well, she saw a video from Charlie, and TPUSA's vision-led, not founder-led, and he appointed her, and her mom was a single mother. She wasn't. And what else? She's not afraid to be a CEO. Does that answer your question? Got a one-way ticket to New York. I lost my daughter almost 6 years ago. I never cared what happened after death until now. I struggle to believe in religion, but wish I could. Any advice for me to find faith? EK makes me sick because of this. Yeah, so I get this every now and then, and I give the same advice. Look up where Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was talking about this. And he said that he struggled with this same problem. And he decided to get the sin out of his life and live as if it was true. And pray as if it was true. And over time, he came to believe it was true. Like he came to believe in it. And I think there's a lot of value in that. I think there's a whole lot of value in that. I'm not saying you have a bunch of sin in your life, but we all do. We all do. And what is a rapid response anyway? Well, something Graham Allen runs. Drones were at the event. Candace episode 292, 24 minutes, 20 seconds. And Candace has proof of drones at UVU. TPUSA and new drones were allowed. Please look. Okay, thank you. Cash can't be handed off over the phone. You guys think he was being bought off by the feds? That's pretty dark. I don't believe that. In 1776, Richard. I'm sure my kids will love it too. Thank you. I appreciate it. Appreciate it. Lots of love for the musical 1776. Yes, that's an accurate quote. I have the same birthday as America, July 2nd. I enjoy your show so much. Keep up the excellent work from your number one fan in Farmington, New Mexico. Christ is king indeed. I don't know where Farmington is, but I bet it's a kitty litter box. I'm just kidding. I bet it's beautiful. A beautiful kitty litter box, but a gorgeous one. Gorgeous one. Christ is king indeed. Thank you. And happy birthday to you, Chelsea McMahon. Regardless of who did this, I cannot wait for EK to have to answer for each time she has used the Lord to try to look credible. God will not be mocked, and I can't wait for her accountability. Well, we should hope the best for people. We want them to repent and find faith and favor with the Lord. So you officially become my number one while the principal's away. Love your rendition of... oh, and I have found myself saying I'll allow it to my kids. Happy 4th of July from an Australian. I'll allow it. Kolvet says numbers the way toddlers say a million. It just means a lot. And he likes how it sounds. I think he just lied. I accidentally misquoted the number by 2 1/3 times. I love how even Blake Neff couldn't contain his laughter when Andrew said we don't lie. Happy 4th and even 2nd. Yeah, Blake was like, oh, we don't lie. That was Blake laughing about not lying. What if the FBI dropped someone off to spend multiple days there speaking with the surgeon and then came back and picked them up? That could be. I hadn't considered that. It's a great thought. TPUSA 2.0 actually funded by those people, donors, now like they wanted before CK was murdered. I think they were funded by a lot of those types of donors before. Charlie Kirk gone. Maybe the mission still continued now that he's out of the way. Well, that's certainly all the rage and speculation. Counselor Coleman, we mostly agree on the Mike theory versus gunman theory. Do you believe it's definitely the how, or is more required in the SUV ride to the hospital? No, I've not committed to a how, not even the microphone theory. I find a lot of merit in it, and I do believe something moved under his shirt that was not caused by a rifle round to the neck. What that was, I'm not yet committed to. I'll never understand a pathological liar, evil. Same. They ruined the Blake, Andrew, Graham, and Gary names. Who's they? We're not allowed to say they. It's anti-Semitic to say they. Oh, you mean, they, okay, yeah. They ruined their own names. Like you can't name your kid Gary anymore. People be like, Gary? Your kid's a sellout? No. God bless you and your family. Thank you for all your hard work. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Happy 250th birthday, America. Light a candle. OMG, Baron. The sound you make when speaking of Grand Island's is awesome. I cannot stop laughing. You need a clip. Say Beavis and Butthead sound effect. I'm on the floor. What other sound does this emoji make? That's the sound it makes. You guys all know it's true. Hey, B, did you guys ever find out what the lawyer meeting was about Monday after life insurance, divorce, anything? No. End of life docs is all I heard. What were you doing in New York? As an emotional asset, my job's less about answering specifics, more about spinning stories and Bible references. Hope that helps. That certainly seems about right. Close friend of mine is a widow. When I shared EK's forgiveness moment with her, she looked at me and said, well, I could never say that. She often says of her husband that it was like God had made someone just for her. 20 years later, and she still grieves. Christ is king indeed. Oh, that hits home. John Cullen has videos of drones at UVU. Candace got tips for a N1. Well, it's not 1908. It's 1098. Lima, plane, Grok, FCO, new. 1098. IMO road failed, and a drone shot Charlie. I'm not a big believer in the drone theory, if I'm being honest. I mean, maybe. Is there an email to contact you? Yeah. I'm not very good at checking it, though, so I can't guarantee anything. RealBaronPodcast@gmail.com. It might sit there for a long time. Found something interesting I believe could be of use and relevant to the plane. Circling devices tech. I don't have $100 to write it all in a super chat. Well, I don't know if I'm going to look. I'll be honest. Like I don't lie. I'm not going to lie to you and tell you, oh, I'll get right on it. I will try to remember. And if I do, I'll respond. But I don't know that I'll find it. I feel higher IQ after that opening statement. Required watching. Thank you for the continued brilliance you share with the world, Baron. Christ is king indeed. Well, thank you. That's awfully kind. Rhiannon. Edge, the only thing she fears is us. She fears us. She acts like it. Thanks for standing for truth, especially since most of the ones who are supposed to represent us don't know what truth means. Christ is king indeed. Well, thank you. Thank you for saying we stand for the truth. We do. Christ is king indeed. Look, that's why I'm not committing to a particular theory on how he died. I do think I think the road mic failed. Is that the cause of death? I don't know. I think his necklace jumped into his neck. Was it propelled that way, or did the breaking of the chain cause it? I don't know. I don't know. But I don't think any of that happened from a gunshot wound. I just don't. Sorry if someone said this. Maybe Graham is behind the emotional asset marketing campaign. Many people said it yesterday, and I don't necessarily buy it. God was a Stygian abyss and wanted to know. He pulsed his light. The photons radiated, experienced, and returned to God's eye. He knew. Our souls are the photons of God's light. Stay at his gate. I don't know what any of that means, but I feel like I got to go to confession for reading it out loud, if I'm being honest. I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know what that means. I think Erika plugged that I wanted to be the light in darkness about New York to cover her tail in case her Connect to JE came out so she could say she was where God wanted her. EK light, JE darkness. Maybe. Summer's wonderful, but it's causing me to be late for Baron. Have a blessed holiday, B, Mrs. C, and fam. Thank you. I actually told somebody today, I was like, I bet my audience tonight's going to be low because everyone's leaving for the 4th of July holiday. They're not going to work tomorrow. They're going to take off Monday. And so there's going to be like they're making a 4-day holiday out of it. Baron, you should do one of those videos where you mock interview Erika, cut in all the commentary you did with her on the Meghan interview. Christ is king indeed. Well, that just seems like it'd be shameless mockery, which I only dabble in. I don't specialize in it. All right, John Cullen, I got my drone in for. I believe you, and I'm very familiar with John Cullen. I've been following him for 9 years now. I just don't buy the drone theory. You think this level of incompetence is intentional? Deliberate smokescreen to keep us from noticing something much bigger happening in the background? Feels like we're falling for a trap. Yeah, I mean, possible. I'll allow that. I've never lost anyone close to me, but I still cry over the loss of CK. Something has to be wrong with EK or with their relationship for her to remotely function, and she's wearing those big rings to hide her knuckles. Christ is king indeed. I got to tell you, I can't tell you why, but I got on the other night. Daisy chastised me for it. I've already been chastised, so you guys don't have to chastise me. But I tried to find pictures of Erika's hands without the rings. It's hard. Particularly recent pictures. Like, I don't know what she got going on under those fingers that she's hiding. Maybe just the size. I don't know. Despise EK. My guy died 3 years ago, and I could barely function first month. Thankful friends, fam brought food, took care of me. 2 years before, his parents and I could donate his clothes. 3rd year, went back to church. I know God has a plan for me, but it's hard. You mean you weren't planning your Megyn Kelly tour photo op 2 weeks later? I never noticed that Dr. Erika said Mac Apple. Yeah, Macintosh, Apple, all those companies. Their commentary had me cracking up when you played her. Our corporate IQ goes down a little. Also, did you watch Candace Owens on Sean Ryan? Thoughts? I'm 44 and a half minutes into it. Just watched a little bit here. Like I ate lunch and dinner. So I watched while I was eating. Did a few things around the house. Just picked up a little bit. Watched a little bit then, but I haven't done much. I haven't watched much. I'll watch more tonight and probably finish it tomorrow. Hey, Sir Baron, sorry I was late. It's been a bad day. I fell down my basement steps. Send prayers, please. Love you, dude, and love the show. My goodness, Kimmy Joe, the crochet cabinet. Be careful, guys. The steps will get you. Steps will get you. Yeah, we'll pray for you, Kimmy Joe, the crochet cabin, to get better. Update us when you're feeling better. One big thank you to my favorite podcaster and happy 4th to all our high IQ outfit. Christ is King. We've come, indeed, we've come a long way from the Velcro cap. Hello to Daisy and family. Little known secret, that wasn't Velcro. That was packaging tape. Packaging tape. The AES explosion epicenter appears to be on the loading dock. Delivery truck, very 1995. If so, Christ is King. Indeed, it does appear. Someone mentioned that the other night, and I went back and looked at it. Kind of looks like it was from back there, but I don't know. King Baron, thank you for the advice yesterday. It means a lot. Your family is lucky to have a dad like you. Thank you, Shy. I remember that, and thank you. That's very, very kind. Very, very kind. Why would EK need a headshot photo for Megyn Kelly? She's used the same one since 1879. Just copy paste. Well, here's the interesting thing about that. She actually used a different one for a short period of time. For like 2 or 3 years, she used a different one. Now she's gone back to the pre-Charlie Kirk headshot, which is very telling to me, frankly. Happy 4th of July to Baron and family. Also to the jury. Hope it's a safe one. I don't chat or comment often, but I always pray for this loving community. Christ is King indeed, and Jesus loves us all. Indeed. He does indeed. Thank you. Thank you. Baron, can you tell me the place in Memphis that has your sandwich? I will dress in RBP merch to go. I can. It's in my email. Oh, man. Let me see if I can find it. It is called... Hold on. It's called the... I don't know. I'll have to look it up. I can't find it. I'll have to find it. Oh, gosh. What was the name of that? He may be watching. Luke Casey's. Is that it? Yes. Luke Casey's. Luke Casey's. Apparently it's freaking amazing. There are reviews up saying how great it is. It's a big seller in Memphis. So, Luke Casey's like the boot. Lucche, whatever. However it's spelled. Luke Casey's. Luke Casey's. I saw a video of Terrell Farnsworth being lifted up to the wall by 2 TPUSA members when making a selfie. Looks like they were set, ready to lift him up. Love the show. Can you share the video? I've not seen that. I would love to see that because that is huge. Please. By all means, send that to your humble host. Charlie King, linchpin of this millennia. Zammit? I don't even know what that means. What's the linchpin of the millennia mean? I would love to know. Did you see Erika's interview on the Lance Wallenew show where she said she's a lawyer? It's from right after they got married, Ripple in Still Water. That's a great song. Ripple in Still Water. That's my favorite Dead song. Did I see Erika's interview on the Lance Wallenew show where she said she's a lawyer? I'm going to look it up. Oh, please. A wall now. From 2021, did you say? Right after they got married? Let me look at the transcript and see if the word lawyer's in there. See if it's this one. Okay, so she didn't say she was a lawyer. I'll play it here real quick. I think he said she was a lawyer. This will be interesting. She's in lace again.
Yeah, my daughter is thinking about going to law school, Liberty.
She should.
And you're currently pursuing a PhD in education as though it's not enough that you're already a lawyer. Now you have to do. At some point, do you think you're ever going to be intimidating to Charlie? Do you think you're going to get an edge on him?
No.
No?
I'm collecting the degrees for the family.
There
So
you go.
it's
There you
fine.
go. Dr. Fahrenheit. Okay. And then you've got something else when you're not busy with that. You have a ministry that covers the Bible in 365 days.
I do. We
So this is the same thing that kind of happened to Andrew. You know, do you stop and correct the record there where they're like, you're already a lawyer? Be like, well, I'm not a lawyer. I mean, I think I would. Like if someone called me a surgeon, I'd be like, well, I'm not a surgeon. You know, I'd kind of do surgery on my dinner, I guess, you know, cut little pieces off or whatever. But that's interesting. 2 days is 2 years since my dad went to be with the Lord. Christ is King indeed. You know, 2 of our founding fathers died on the 4th of July. 2 of the first, I think, 5 presidents. And they died on the exact same day. I think it was 1831 that they both died. I saw Catherine Limbaugh give a speech. You could still see the grief in her face. May Rush and Charlie rest in peace, and prayers for Catherine. That's interesting. You know, she was related to John Adams. Since we're talking about John Adams today, I want to say she's Catherine Adams Limbaugh, like of John Adams, if I'm not mistaken. I'm speaking out of school. Maybe wrong, but I think I'm right. 3 years sobriety today. Congratulations, Elena. Thanks for celebrating with us. 3 amazing years. 3 amazing years. Being a Canuck, I'm now saving $5 a month. Thank you. Sending love. Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. You got to sign up off the Apple app. Number 1 of Asheville, North Carolina. I'll allow it. Asheville's kind of grown up. For Nurse Casey, she deserves a raise with how quick and helpful she is regarding merch issues. Christ is King indeed. She is amazing. I tell her all the time, I would not do merch if it wasn't for her. I wouldn't mess with all that stuff. I see what she has to deal with on a daily basis because I look at the emails and I'm like, nope, not your humble host. Did you already talk about Darren Brunson background? I'm still wondering, but may have missed your explanation, although I never miss a minute of your high IQ outfit. Hi, Tilly. No, I haven't talked about the Darren Brunson background yet. Hold on. I might get to it. I don't know. I mean, more than the fact that he was in some trumpet band or something. My 3 girls came running. Mommy, is Candace done? No. Candace is on vacation. Great. Now this guy will be reading comments for 3 hours. Oh my gosh. Your kids need to be chastised. Sent to their rooms without dinner. Christ is King indeed, but come on, guys. What did we learn today? AK is a shady M blanker and couldn't be an out of the closet POS while Charlie Kirk was alive. Notice all the public TPUSA people weren't in car to hospital. How can all of them claim anything? That's a good point. That's a good point. Donated to Ron Paul, 1987. Never voted. I wanted his message spread. I shook his hand in 2019. Hope to shake your hand one day. You're a good person. Thank you for being you. July 2nd. Amen. Well, thank you. I would shake your hand as long as you let go of it. You're not one of those people like pulls on the hand like Trump does. You reach out to shake it and they yank your hand in. I got a bum shoulder. I don't need all that. Jimmy Dore just had a great segment about Mortal Kombat. Very interesting, as you may as well. I found it very interesting, as you may. Yeah, Jimmy Dore's great. I love Jimmy Dore. I'm a big Jimmy Dore fan. B, John Adams fan here in honor of the 2nd president. And having been born in Quincy, Massachusetts, it's by sworn duty to make sure everyone knows it's pronounced Quincy. Joanna from Quincy. That's Quincy. I've been to Quincy's. I had their big fat yeast rolls. You're not going to pull that one fast one by me. You're trying to have me out here sounding ridiculous, saying I've been to Quincy's. The big fat yeast rolls. No. Quincy's. High IQ or not, these liars are a big pill to swallow. No place in my brain that comprehends the level of everyday acceptable deceit we get from AK. They believe the rules don't apply to them. I agree. Frankly, I hate that, but I agree. Number 1 in Hurricane, Utah. Love you, Baron. Hurricane, Utah. That's where the sheriff's office is, where Tyler Robinson allegedly turned himself in the early afternoon. GBC, Ivan, you are the greatest. Ivan, you're the greatest. Happy 2nd of July. You're a true blessing. Love you, B. Gary, I'm not going to call you a big dummy today. Christ is king indeed. Yeah, he and Bays had a little conversation last night, and I will say Gary behaved himself for the most part. I mean, he still was ridiculous, but he behaved himself for the most part. We always share our birthday with you, so I wonder, when is our humble host's birthday? Oh, well, Julie, you must not have been watching on December 3rd, the day after your humble host celebrated his birthday. I even wore a hat with a little birthday patch that my kids gave me. That patch is now, yeah, it's over there. I would unplug and show it to you, but I hate unplugging. I feel deaf. But yeah, that tells me you're a new viewer, but that's okay. Okay, we'll allow it. Welcome to the family. Welcome in. Welcome in. But yeah, my birthday is December 2nd, December 2. Richard Jewell, Atlanta, 1996 could be an interesting opener. That would be a great opener. He got robbed. With regard to the email I sent you, BH and SR discussing road mic theory. Okay. Sean Ryan asked Brian Harpole if he saw any signs of an explosion on CK's chest when he cut his shirt off. His answer is, where is an explosion in the video frames? Yeah, I've seen that. I've watched it intently. After researching one side of our family tree, we learned we are a very distant cousin married Betty Ross after her first husband passed away. Just an interesting 4th of July fact. Duly noted. Thank you. That is interesting. I love the family tree stuff. I belong to the website that you can search stuff back. The Mormons have a good website and it's free. What's it called? FamilySearch.org. Is there a way to see who the cash loyalists that received the $1 million worth of tax dollars to the director's bidding, to do the director's bidding? Maybe some were the ones on the ground on 9/10 just asking questions. See Jamie Raskin allegations. I don't know what you're talking about. I wish I was informed enough to answer that. A lot in common podcast on IG just posted a video 3 days ago of Lance being interviewed at UVU on 9/10. Go to their account, 6th video on page. I don't think that's Lance. I've seen that video. I mean, I'm assuming it's a long hair, hat. I don't think that's him. Sometimes I wonder, was the memorial the event of the century, or was it the offing of Mr. Kirk? I've heard that. Possible Mike then? You'll see it in thread with Chris. I don't know, Tina. A lot in common podcast on IG. I'm being censored. Oh, you weren't being censored. I got it. I was touched by your read of John Adams' letter to his wife. He figures in a middle grade trilogy I'm writing about 3 friends who time travel from a 1976 bicentennial parade to early Revolutionary War. I will include that letter. Wow, that'll be fun. I like that kind of stuff. Yeah, the time travel stuff is weird. Really weird. Really weird. I like reading that stuff, though. Hi, Baron. Why is it so important for Erika to be the CEO? It seems like she always wanted to be a superstar, but everyone around her seems insist on her being the CEO also. It makes no sense. Because she's the CEO. She'll fire them if if they like their jobs, they gotta go along with the game. Also, love you so much. Best part of my day. Christ is King indeed. Well, thank you. You're the best part of my day. Love you, Baron. Thank you for everything you do. Thank you for everything you do, Jackie. Jackie? Hi, Baron. I'm Lucas, 16 years. Love your show. Well, hi, Lucas. I'm Baron, 46 years. Love your comment. Thank you, Baron, for all you do. I watch every episode. Well, Jackie, you're being very kind tonight. Thank you. Hey, my B. Going on 6 months sober. This show and community has helped me stay true to sobriety. I really appreciate this high IQ outfit. Also, could you do a members only with Ian? Happy 4th. Love you. I did a whole regular show with Ian several months ago. Go look it up. It was a good one. We did a whole bunch of stuff, but I could ask him about a members only. I think he would enjoy that. Years of working to make the world a better place has culminated in realizing it's just what we do for each other that really makes our impact. Help when and where you can. make a difference locally. Oh, man, that's a feel-good quote of the day. When the power of love beats the love of power, the world will know peace. Well, the world's never going to know peace. Great show as always, Mr. B. Well, thank you. You got, I don't know, what is it a holiday or something? This is like the kindest comment section I've ever had. EK should go home and be, Mama! But seriously, how could anyone leave their babies alone for 1 minute after their dad was publicly taken from them? Oh, but she does. CK getting murdered is very dark. Yeah, most murders are. Most murders are. Yeah, just to clarify my first chat after viewing Honest Ash longer vid, I can see CK being in on the OG plan until things went sadly south. Thanks for the edge. Needed that lift. Look forward to Kasia. My first question for her is, how do you pronounce your name? I've heard people like, you're pronouncing it wrong. I've heard like 4 different people say it differently. I have entertained that thought that you're talking about, but I don't know that I currently entertain it. Today's my birthday. Couldn't be more excited to spend it with our humble host and all of the grand jury. Man, we got a lot of birthdays today. That's like the 4th one. August, September, October. October 2 must be a big night. What are you guys doing? Hi, Baron. What legal options are there in case the TR case becomes a sham? How could there still be legal accountability for TPUSA and or the government? Well, there aren't many legal options. I mean, somebody with prosecutorial authority would have to take out a case. I mean, nothing we, the public, can do to force it. Have you talked about why the moon landing is fake in any of your shows? No, it's just fake. Look at it. I mean, I've talked about it, but not like done a whole segment. If so, which one? I'd love to hear it. You explain things in the best way to make sense. Thank you for making me higher IQ. That'd be a fun opening, man. You talk about making people mad. B, forgive me if I've missed this, but has it already been discussed that HIH is mentioned in the e-files? Who's HIH? I don't even know what that means. HIH. I don't know who that is. My husband said you can't force mashed potatoes down our throats and keep screaming in our face that it's cotton candy. Fed slop. Kind of what I said last night, except I said doo-doo. I like the Velcro craps and welcome their return. I've still got all the labels on this desk over here. They're just there. Bear, I need to talk to you. I'm the one whose story and tweet Zach Costello broke on his live today, but on the surfaces, we're trying to reach you and Candace. What did he break on the live? I have to look it up real fast. Hold, please. Zach Costello. What'd you do today, Zachy? Well, I didn't see it. Email me. realbaronpodcast@gmail.com. Put Zach Costello tweet. I didn't see Zach today. Can we ask Lance Pham if he left mid-mom birthday celebration? According to text, I know Candace has contacts. Maybe you could ask her to check. Maybe. What should we likely learn from Monday's court hearing? Well, it's going to be a Monday to Friday thing. You're not going to learn much on Monday. I mean, maybe a few small rulings that we're not expecting. The off-the-cuff rulings that I would be looking for this week are, because we don't know, where do the prosecution and the defense agree certain things should not be made public? Because if they agree things aren't going to be public, I think the judge is going to side with them. And where do they disagree and which way does the judge fall? I think on the things they disagree on, the judge is likely to let it be public. So we'll see. But other than that, I don't think there are going to be many rulings. I just meant it's not strange the random surgeon that received CK at the hospital just so happens to know someone high in Gov that he was able to make such a call. What are the odds? Well, I agree. I mean, I know what you're saying. I just don't know what to make of it. My second grandbaby arrived at HH Independence Day. Arrived on HH Independence Day. Just want to say how much I love this community. Blessings to all. Glory to God in the highest. Christ is King indeed. I don't know what HH Independence Day is. I'm behind. Please post your daily workouts. That would be so cool. Well, today it was a 15 cal row and 11 clean and press, not clean and jerk, clean and press from the ground. And it was miserable. The goal is never to put it down and to row as fast as you can. Like it's a sprint. This is an all-out sprint. It was absolutely miserable. First round wasn't bad. Second round in the middle, I thought, I see what I've done here, and I've gotten myself in a real bind having to finish this. And the third round was just choking and gasping and praying that it was going to end and I would still be around at the end of it. But I could probably post them. They're weird workouts. Aaron, trying to get in touch with you. I'm the only one whose story I'm the one. We found all that stuff in turn. Yeah, email me, realbaronpodcast@gmail.com. I'll take a look at it. I did not catch Zach, so I don't know what you're talking about. I don't feel like celebrating this Independence Day. I feel like mourning. I feel like wearing black rather than patriotic colors, trying to count blessings and be grateful, but I'm just so sad. I mean, I understand why you're saying that. I get it. Oh, Braves just took a lead. My German Shepherd turned 6 on the 4th. He naps nicely when I'm watching these shows. Happy birthday, German Shepherd. You share a birthday with my youngest son. He's brilliant, like our humble host. I bet he is. Born on December 2nd. He absolutely is brilliant. No doubt in my mind. Filling in for Ivan. Gary, you're a dummy. Moon Goddess. Thank you. I needed that laugh. Not Quiznos. Quincy's. Quincy. Oh, Quincy's. There was a restaurant called Quincy's. They had big fat yeast rolls. Quincy's big fat yeast rolls. Look. Don't talk about it. Quincy's. They even had a commercial. The big fat yeast rolls. Quincy's big fat yeast rolls are known for being incredibly soft, fluffy, and slightly sweet. Slightly sweet? They were basically donuts. I mean, slightly sweet. Holy mackerel. They were donuts. And they came with a sweet butter, making them even more donutty. Both John Adams and Thomas Jefferson died on July 4th, 1826. I had the date wrong. I had the year wrong. America's 50th birthday and almost 200 years ago to the day. Joanna from Quincy. Because you say Z, our colonial friends are going to call it Zed, and we'll be all confused. Quinzed. Palm Beach Pete Coleman, 2028. I would not run on a ticket with Palm Beach Pete. Let's just be honest about that. Did she ever answer, what were you doing in New York? Of course not. Of course not. We have no idea what she was doing in New York. I've made a terrible mistake. There we go. Thank you to you and the jury for getting me through a very hectic workday yesterday. Cannot express how badly I needed hilarious Baron, and the jury was on fire. Laughing so hard between very heavy situation kept me going. So thank you, everyone who contributed to my mental health. Well, Auntie Leish, can't remember how you pronounce that. You're welcome. If there's a main character in the movie, 1776, John Adams. Great. Thank you. Hinky. Love it. Happy July 2nd. Yeah, I haven't heard the word hinky in years. The first time I've heard it. No one says was quite like my was. I don't know why I say that. But you're right. Latest video shows CK looking like he knew. Mine. Okay. Why is CK the CEO of TPUSA? TPUSA owes a lot of answers. They believe she is perceived as a sympathetic figure who can't be questioned. Well, that's probably a lot of truth to that. Zach traced the car Charlie was in. I mean, a lot of people traced the car Charlie was in. TR from Roof, people walking, same cars recording? Yes. I've looked at the roof. Now, I'm not saying they didn't add the little guy running, but that video was taken that day. I know that. EK is wearing a mic in the casket video. You can hear it rubbing against her clothes as she's whispering and crying. Christ is king indeed. I have long suspected she was mic'd. And it's creepy if that's true. Like, if that's true, we should have all gotten off the train on day one. We should be like, no. You're mic'd in the casket. You're in the casket, mic'd. I'm not falling for this. My sister passed away. 41 years old, liver failure. Even though I'm a nurse, knew death was inevitable, and have strong Catholic faith, I could hardly function out in public for a good 2 weeks. EK's behavior is hard to comprehend. Agreed. And I'm sorry for your loss. Humble host Independence Day. Oh, is that what the HH is? Yeah. It's not my Independence Day. The day that the Lee resolution was voted on and passed. My B. That's why I'm here, comedic relief. Happy 4th. Moon Goddess, you delivered tonight. So much discussion about the 10 inches of soil removed for pavers, but we don't hear much anymore about the trap door beside the tent. Paved too? No, it was not paved. It's still there, quite there. I don't want to say trap door. I mean, trap door indicates it's like you fall in and go into the ocean. Like the boats have a trap door, and all of a sudden you're out on the side of the boat. It's not a trap door so much as an access door that gets you into the plumbing below. There's actually a video on, I think it's on UVU's website, maybe on YouTube, of people down there walking around. They're like taking a tour of it. It's huge. You can walk around down there. Interesting overlap. Lance Twiggs, Lancelot 3, said 2 years ago he was getting social media ads for treatments for schizophrenia, BPD, and a brain tumor. Okay. Duly noted. I don't give a damn. I got something I want you to follow up on. I'll text you. Great opening. Well, thank you. Wow, just they're as simple as the day is long, guys. We've reached the end of the program. Go enjoy your holiday. It is, after all, the real Independence Day. Go tell someone you know that they've celebrated it wrong this whole time, and today is the day the Lee resolution was passed 250 years ago today. That separated us from that King George III and that English Empire. But in all seriousness, I hope you guys have a safe weekend. Do not hold on to fireworks. I want everybody to come back with 10 fingers and 10 toes. Get away. Go watch professionals do it. I live in a cool community. A lot of fireworks will be going off on July 4th. All you have to do is throw out a seat in the yard and just look around in every direction, and they're everywhere. It's great. A cool little thing about our little town. They just go crazy on the 4th of July. I have no idea where it started or why they do it, but it is bananas. And it lasts like 2 hours. Just nonstop. It's great. Dogs love it. My dog loves it. The crazy dogs, maybe not so much, but my dog finds it great. If you've liked the program, please like and subscribe. I'll be happy to have you. If you are going to watch the member show tomorrow, make sure your membership is current. Check and see if you're subscribed. Click notifications. Kasia, whatever, from Daily Fredo. I'm going to find out how to pronounce that name tomorrow. She will be with us. It's going to be great. She is a rising superstar in YouTube. She does a great job. Her lives are great. Her videos are great. I consume all of her content. She's fantastic. So I'm really, really looking forward to that. Oh. I got a couple more I'm going to go through here in just a second. But don't forget, on July 7th, your humble host will be with Clint Russell on Liberty Lockdown with Buckley Carlson. That'll be fun. Let me go through a couple more of these because there was a couple interesting ones. UVU neuroscience student and certified TMS tech Russell Kennington self-proclaims TNS technician, neuroscience student. Okay. Baron, please give a shout out to my youngest who also came running into the room and wasn't mentioned. His name is Olaf Charlemagne. We love your work. That's a name that like rich people give their kids. Olaf Charlemagne. Shout out to you, brother. Easily one of your best episodes to date. You are a true American and a great example of how a God-fearing individual should behave. Wow, dear, that's very kind of you. I am grateful the Lord put you on this path and wish nothing but the best for you and your family. Christ is King indeed. That's very, very kind. Very, very kind. That hand in the coffin looked more like a prosthetic than a real hand. Just my humble opinion. The problem is the left hand has marks on it, and they correspond to the video Candace showed, like on the back of the hand where the little black dots were. They kind of correspond to that. Designer and artist telling compelling new stories. TMS zaps targeted brain areas with magnetic pulses. Research for schizophrenia and BPD. Same, but different. I believe you on all this. I just don't know what you mean. I don't know where we're going with it. Mr. Coleman. Oh, that's the real Mitch Snow. You discovered Charlie's Angels 47. Someone needs to snag her into their crowdsource because she puts Nancy Drew to shame. Good show, sir. Stay safe. Thank you for checking in. I will do that. we will get Charlie's Angels involved in the community. But this time for real, I got to go. Can't take any more. Those came in while I was doing my goodbye. Can I believe? Here we are again. And one of you might have forgotten. But don't forget. Don't you ever, ever, ever forget. Jesus loves you. Stay safe this holiday weekend. Please stay safe. I'll see you guys on the member show tomorrow, and I'll see the rest of you Sunday night. Don't be late.